Welcome back to the Bourbon and BS podcast. Pardon me, gentlemen.
What's up, Steve?
Hello.
Jesus. Here we are again. It's episode 141, and I have special guests here, Spencer Lappin and Shannon Chapman, both recurring guests on the podcast. Hope you guys can hear us okay. I know last week we had some no problems with the audio, really. It was mostly with the video towards the end of it, so hope you guys can hear us. Let us know. Give us some feedback if you're on the live feed. If you're on the audio, too bad. Hopefully I didn't blow out your speakers. I have what are we drinking tonight?
We are drinking Old Forester Single Barrel Strength.
It's a lot of barrel. A lot of barrel. And we have tonight the Fuente. This is the Cuban Belicoso Sungrown. It's also known as part of the Chateau series. It says Grand Reserva, which is a common thing. We'll get into that a little bit with this Fuente here. I want to thank Tinder Box at Easton for providing that cigar. This is kind of one of my favorite. I think this is a sleeper when it comes to the Fuente. The whole Sungrown series, actually, I think is a little bit of a sleeper. The 858 had a lot of mystique around it because it was harder to find for a while when in the natural Sungrown. But again, we'll get into that a little bit here. I want to thank Tinderbox for that. Check them out. They have the same special going on right now as last week, which is that big Asylum and CLE sampler. But they have something else coming out with some new stuff, and not only new as a sampler, but it's mostly new blends coming out. So check out Tinderbox at Easton, Columbus, Ohio. Be happy to. It's a lot in my. It's a lot of smoke. Right in my face.
What I've noticed from the cigar right off the bat.
Did someone light up the cedar? That's what I'm smelling. Jeez. Did you light it with the cedar on?
Not with it on. He lit it with the cedar.
All right, that's better.
Come on, Shannon, get it together, dude.
All right. Anyways, yeah, Nate, you may have to turn me down. I don't know if you want, or Dustin, watch my levels there. If I am blowing it out right now, I know I'm not, but. Also want to thank Altadis USA. We've got the Reserva Real Romeo Julieta. This is a milder blend. Spencer said that he enjoys the fact that I bring some classics. Well, Altadis is to take credit for that. I mean, these are great cigars from Altadis USA. Josh Bentley, thank you very much for support. And they always provide our second cigar as well, which, again, tonight is the Reserva Real. Also, BS Cigar Company, the Gold and Silver, all Nicaraguan blends. One all Plasencia tobacco, which is a family out of Nicaragua for those that don't know. And also the other one, the silver, is going to be Espinosa. So, yeah, love those, as always. And if you guys are interested in that, BS Cigar Company on Instagram, Facebook, or you can reach out to us at the podcast, and we can point you in the right direction. Also, patreon.com/Bourbon and BS podcast. We've got some patrons in the garage right now.
I have the one T-shirt. Is there a follow-up?
There's not a follow-up yet. I am
You greedy bastard.
Working on it. Take a sip. I'm thinking about that. No, it's been. I'll get into it a little bit, but it's been a busy month. I know you do. You've got time. You got time to. Been working on it. I'm not even gonna get into it tonight, but yeah, I appreciate the support. It's been fun. I know we've got some new patrons in the last couple of weeks, so. And they've been watching, which I love it. We got Vinny, who was a guest. He's on the feed right now. So check us out Wednesday nights on Facebook Live or on YouTube Live, and we can include you in the conversation. Mostly Facebook Live is where we get most of the action. So like it, share it, review it. I know, Spencer, you listen to it mainly on iTunes, right? Or Spotify?
I listen to it on iTunes, but I know it's on Spotify as well.
Yeah, it's on Spotify. It's on all the iHeartRadio, all that good stuff. So check it out. I actually started listening to it just to listen back. I know we get the vast majority of the traffic on our video.
Okay.
But I enjoy the flow on the audio. I don't even realize as much because when we're doing it, I don't really always go back and listen to it other than when I'm editing it. But I like it, the flow with the conversation. But I've been listening to more podcasts, and I'm listening to ours, and I'm not trying to necessarily compliment us, but it's the people that are in the garage, Nate, Dustin, the guests, everyone. It's a good flow.
It's got a good rhythm to it.
Yeah.
You know, I think the thing with a lot of shows and a lot of podcasts, it's got a good beginning, middle, and end to it. I mean, you've got 140 episodes in, you're still fine tuning it, but I think I know where it's going and kind of it's got a good rhythm to it.
And you should compliment yourself. There's a lot of hard work that goes into
I appreciate that.
making that happen. You know what I mean? Yeah, we show up and have some fun, but you lay the groundwork for everybody. So,
well, it's easy with good guests. And anyways, enough of the compliments. This is kind of annoying.
where's my $5?
Where's your $5?
Patreon.com if you'd like to give Shannon $5.
So yeah, guys, I'm gonna pour a glass here in just a second to light up. I'm gonna go ahead and share it. I'm gonna do that while you guys kind of bring us up to speed. What's going on in your life right now?
Go ahead, sir.
Back in the shop, having a really good time there. I just moved to a new shop in there since the second week of August. It's a shop I was shooting for the whole time to get into out of barber school, and it's amazing crew of guys and girls I work with.
What's the name of the shop?
Silver Lane Barber Shop in the middle of New Albany, Gahanna, 1012 Hamilton Road.
Nice.
Cool, man.
Spencer, how about you?
I'm in sales. I sell cabinets from the manufacturer to kitchen bash showrooms throughout about 5 states. So they've let us back on the road here over the past few months. So kind of maybe go into the topic a little bit tonight, but back to seeing customers and traveling and just getting back into the real world here over the past couple months. And obviously different circumstances, but it feels good just to be interacting with people again.
No, absolutely. Absolutely. Let's go ahead because I feel like Facebook keeps switching things up on me, like I keep saying. So I want to make sure I get this out to some of the people that follow us through different groups and pages as well. So I'm going to go ahead and do that here.
Yeah.
But let's jump in. So we've got that Old Forester, which I'm going to finish this up and pour one of these. This is a special pick, this Old Forester. And Spencer, again, thank you so much for bringing this.
You are very welcome.
So tell us a little bit about where you got the bottle, why is it special that you know of, and then between the group and anyone out there wants to talk about Old Forester. I know we've done that on the podcast before. We've talked about Old Forester. We got Dustin and Nate behind the mic there, so if you guys want to chime in as well with a little bit of info on Brown Foreman and all that good stuff.
So as you gentlemen know, what I like to do on this podcast, and this is, I don't know, 10, 12, something like that, recurring guests on it, so I do appreciate you having me back on. I like to bring stuff that we just can't get normally. It's not necessarily that it's expensive. It's just stuff that's a little harder to come by at your local liquor store. So this is Old Forester single barrel strength. It is a store pick. It is proof-wise on this one. It is 127.2. So it's going to be a little hotter than some of the normal Old Foresters. And doing a little research, the normal Old Forester single barrel is normally 90 proof, but apparently they're going towards 100 proof from here going forward. But this one,
100?
they are going to 100 as their standard.
For the barrel.
For the barrel.
Gotcha.
This barrel is actually called That Barrel Effing Baskin. So
I love it.
So if you remember months ago when Tiger King was a thing, and me and Nate were talking about earlier that I'm sure there's going to be some Tiger King Halloween costumes out there, but it's just kind of cool to have something unique just from this barrel, and any other single barrels are not going to taste like this. But it definitely has some heat. Obviously comes from Brown Foreman. It says it's aged between 5 and 6 years. Majority of it's corn. I think it's 72 corn, I think 15 or 16 rye, and the rest is malted. But have you had a chance to try it yet?
Yeah, it has a nice punch right off the first sip, but then it doesn't really linger too much and has a nice finish.
I think in tasting it for 127, it doesn't taste like 127.
No, not
it's
at all.
got a little bit of sharpness, but it's nothing too crazy. I don't get a lot of depth with this compared to some of the other Old Foresters that I've had. You get the caramels, you get some of the cherries, stuff like that, but it doesn't necessarily have the depth of flavor that I'm kind of looking for in something of this barrel strength.
Yeah, it doesn't hang out very long once you take a drink.
Yeah, it could be a dangerous thing on a night like tonight.
Oh, yeah.
Nate, have you had a chance to try it yet? You're an Old Forester guy, right?
Yeah, I love Old Forester, especially like the 86 that's on the table as well. Just the plain Old Forester. I love it. On the nose, still get that little bit of caramel note on the nose, and I get a lot of cinnamon on the palate.
Okay.
Like a lot of cinnamon.
On the front or on the back?
The whole time. it picks up more on the finish. Like you get just you get a brief moment of that sweetness when it first hits your palate, and then it's just so much cinnamon and spice. And then for me, kind of like when you had the sip of that old Overholt before filming, like it goes down and it's like finish is kind of short, but then it just kind of sits there in your chest a little bit.
The Kentucky hug you talking about?
A little, something like that. But it just kind of like you can feel it, and it just kind of sits there. But even with as much heat and cinnamon as you get, like it's not overwhelming.
You get some. So you guys, what'd you have last week? The Sycamore.
Yeah, we had the Sycamore 10-year American whiskey.
So that had a lot of apple flavor in it. Do you get any like Christmas of apple at all in this one?
No real fruit notes. Just more spice. Like to me, this is almost like drinking some of the really nice ryes that we've had. Like say a Willet 4-year rye, something like that, or it'd be a little hotter than an Angel's Envy rye. But say Angel's Envy rye, if you hadn't cut it. That's kind of what this reminds me of a little bit with that spice.
So this is typically, I think, between like $80 and $90 if you can get it. But I think the most part, this stuff's being sold on amongst friends, I would say.
Because it's been sold out, pretty much.
Because it's been sold out, it just people like the newest, people like the single barrel, so it just happens to be a little hard to find. And I'm sure if you had a single barrel from another store, it would taste a little different, which is why people like the single barrels.
That's typically how it works, and I apologize for me not being a part of this. You guys did a great job.
Yeah, we've been
It's
doing
been better,
yeah,
probably.
I
yeah,
don't
no.
want to say anything.
All right, I'm take off. No, what were you waving?
No.
I've actually, there's a couple things going on right now because this is a garage podcast. Not only was Facebook kind of changing everything once again, but I also have, if you notice, 3 doors down, there's been this Jeep in the driveway with the lights on since you got here, Nate.
Yeah, it's been idling since before 6:30.
Should we check on that?
Is that your Jeep? Okay.
We might want to check on that. That's been a good hour.
Do you think they're affecting the Wi-Fi?
No, I'm worried there's I don't know. God,
Either they're
I'm not
stealing
even
your
gonna.
Wi-Fi.
There's no jokes to be made here.
I have a couple.
You know,
What is the plan?
the plan is if we do we dial 911 now, knock on the door, like maybe they're. I don't know.
Where
It's 3 doors down. The lights have been on. There's trouble in the neighborhood. It's Halloween, spooky season. I don't know.
Maybe he's trying to sleep one off before he goes in the house.
Bobby Hirschman said.
Is that Bobby in the Jeep?
Bobby Hirschman says Crane looks so serious right now when I was trying to do all this stuff. And he's like, that's me in the Jeep stalking you guys. Get out of the fucking neighbor's driveway. That's just not.
Come on in.
Come on over,
water's
bud.
fine.
Come on over, buddy. All right. It's funny. We try to do this. Everything keeps changing technology-wise. I feel like everyone's trying to update everything. I've said it before in the last several weeks. It's just, it gets frustrating to a point because, it's not easy necessarily trying to get it out to you guys every week on the live part. But that's where we get most of the action. So I'm taking my first sip while Nate just
Nate is inside the Jeep. He is inside of the Jeep.
Scream like a girl if you are scared.
Caw-caw.
That is a
Justin,
bit.
why don't you go check on Nate if you don't mind? Just make sure he's okay.
I think he's. That's,
Look, see
it's a
what
good
Doug-
friend right there. Dustin
see what
just said
Doug
this-
wrote?
This is another
I think
one.
he's all right.
So what do you think of it?
It's definitely. So I had a sip of the regular Old Forester 86 beforehand. Certainly stronger. Dustin's got some, right?
The 86.
You got the 86. It's good. I think what you guys were getting right off the rip that I was listening to, that you were expecting more. You're expecting more. I will say the second sip, I get more from it. I think that it's got actually more depth, and I was really intrigued because of what Nate was saying as far as the he was comparing it to some ryes, like the Willet rye and stuff like that. I don't
don't get
know
that
if I
personally.
get it as much. I get a lot of spice. I think that's where he's going with that.
Maybe because you guys had a lot more corn-forward ones the last couple weeks.
Could have been. I mean, you've got this is 127.2, so you got 63+%. You're gonna get some heat from something like that, in my opinion. I think it's a good barrel pick. I think this is I'm rarely disappointed with anything with the Old Forester name on it.
No.
Honestly, for me, I know there's people out there that they're up and down. They're talking about some of the what was a storybook? It's the ages. I forget what they call that. And both the bourbon experts just left the garage. I think they are in the Jeep.
We should get in that Jeep.
Did he knock on the door?
We'll find out what's going on here. Dustin's coming back. That's good. We got 1 out of 2. All right. Well, I bet you they forgot about it,
I wonder if they hit their remote start.
or they could. Well, no, it's usually got a 10-minute. Anyways,
I don't know radio as much as you guys know radio, but this is good radio. I'll tell you that right now. This is what the people tune in
So here's the thing. I know everyone's got
Listening to
different podcasts. I've been listening to some podcasts lately, and
Who you been listening to?
so today I was listening to Bill Burr.
Okay.
And
Because SNL, or do you normally? Because he does what, a Monday morning one?
He does a
Monday.
Monday, it's a Monday morning podcast, and he
Okay.
does a Thursday as well. Typically, I think during the week, so he does it twice a week. But it's fun to listen to someone that he's got kind of a format, but then it's more, I don't want to say rambling, and I'm not trying to mimic that by any means. Don't get me wrong, but this is actually because we record it live, and there's not like, hey, let's stop it for a second because we do live feed. We'll get an update from Nate here as he's coming back in.
Guy was a little hard of hearing, but said he even went to check the mail. Had no idea that he left his. It was one of those users.
All right, well, good, good. We got it sorted out.
Problem solved, bro.
Have you seen the price of an oil barrel these days?
It's low.
Yeah, it's low. So that's good.
Yeah. Yeah. I mean, it's a terrible time to buy oil.
All right.
Yeah.
Bobby
Only when it's
Hirschman says,
idling.
shut the garage door. Stat. Yeah, that gets loud, so we're not going to do that. Anyways, so the Old Forester single barrel, I think this is, it's not as strong as I thought it'd be as far as the heat. I don't think it's as abrasive when I see 63 proof. I truly don't think that it.
63%.
Yep, sorry, 63%. I was expecting even more heat. I was expecting
to get
it
punched in the face.
Yeah, a little throat punch action there.
Now, is that a good thing or a bad thing in your mind? It's not like a Booker's. I mean, you definitely get some heat on the tip of the tongue.
I don't like the straight just plow your face kind of thing, but
Ooh.
it's
Feel
Yeah, got it that time.
but it's nice. It's like
Yeah.
it doesn't
Get a little warm in here.
but it doesn't just linger in your palate with the heat. Like it's a nice little quick hit and it's gone.
Yeah. Who's calling me right now? I tell you what, things coming off the rails here. I do get it a couple times. Again, as I'm drinking more of it, honestly, I get more heat. And I don't know why that is.
I don't disagree with you. I think
you're getting it too?
Yeah, I am too.
Maybe it's with the cigar, maybe.
Could be.
Could be. For me, I've only had a couple puffs of the cigar. I just think that overall, it's just tough to hide something over 125.
Right.
It's just tough to hide it. You do get the caramel that Nate was talking about.
Mm-hmm.
I hate to say like you're chewing on some leather or something like that, but it's not I don't get very much sweetness off this at all. I just get kind of steady Eddie, just right down the middle. It's a good bourbon. I would definitely drink it. I don't know if
You're not selling it to me with that tone. I'll tell you that right now.
I tell you what, the reason I'm trying to sell it to that tone. What's your 86? How much would that cost?
It's $18 for
Okay.
a fifth. Yeah.
So between $18 and between $90, and granted, this is probably not.
No, it's heating up though,
little bit
man.
more. Yeah, it's. If you like Old Forester, I think you're going to like this. But if you're expecting something along the lines of like a birthday bourbon or something along those lines, it's not going to disappoint. It just doesn't necessarily hit the mark. But I know that this is very sought after, probably just because it's newer. But for me, at $90, it's great. But somebody could sell this for $200 if they really wanted to.
Right.
On the aftermarket.
Yeah, the aftermarket or just
Secondary, rather.
yeah, it's just more the rarity of it than anything else. But when we've had previous people on here, it's you gotta call right down the middle. You gotta put the price in mind and stuff like that.
Yeah.
It's a pretty bottle. I like the blue. I know that at some places it's just.
Now, why is that one blue? Because the single barrel I have is still a black label.
So I think your single barrel proof wise is probably going to be around 90.
Yeah,
it's
90
not barrel proof
Yeah.
or
So
barrel
this is
barrel strength.
barrel
Yeah.
strength. So
Okay.
their
Yeah.
goal
I
with
got you.
this one was not to. They just want it to be as pure as it can be right off of this. And a lot of their other stuff, Nate, correct me if I'm wrong, it's several barrels mixed together, and this is obviously just one barrel that they happen to think was special, so they're not mixing with other barrels.
Yeah, I think it was sometime last year we had the two different state picks for the state of Ohio. Or
Yeah.
no, one was the state pick that I had, and one was the group up in Cleveland. What was left of their state pick.
That's right.
Or not their state pick, but the pick
Barrel
they had
pick.
done
Their barrel
for
pick.
them.
Yeah.
We had compared those two, and those were a little bit lighter than what this one is, and they were also in that $55 price range for the state picks and their custom pick. So 90 is quite a bit high, but then again, those were 90 proof. This is 127.
So according to Che Miller out there, and Che, welcome to the show. I'm glad you're watching tonight. He said, by the way, second pick released in the U.S. So Che is good friends with some of the guys that were picking this.
Okay.
Breyer and them.
Oh.
Breyer's been on. So I assume that's how Che made it. I don't know, Che, if you're listening still. You threw that on the comment feed, but if I assume you were part of this or you had some sort of a influence on this.
Yeah, I mean, if he wants to disclose anything, I'd be happy to
Absolutely.
hear what he has to say.
He said first in Ohio there. So, I mean, yeah, we've got some great people on some of these picks doing it privately and working with some of the bars, if you will, because that's how you have to do it in Ohio. But, I mean, we've got some great friends of ours, great people that are doing that. Che says is an OPA pick. We talked about that. OPA is in Delaware, Ohio.
Yep.
And he has Genty.
some stuff.
He's got ridiculous amounts of selections up there. So if you're in the Columbus area, you want to check out somewhere that has a lot of bourbon picks unique to them. OPA is definitely a good one. So Genty, if you're watching tonight, hopefully you listen to us. I think you guys did a great job. And Che, I don't know if you were part of it with Genty or not. But I think it's heating up as I'm drinking it, which is unique to me.
Yeah,
Absolutely.
You can feel it. You can definitely feel it as you get going with
It
it.
moved from the front of my palate to now it's hitting in the rear of the palate.
Yep.
Yeah.
100%.
And if you guys hear that in the background, that's going to be Frank.
Is he in the Jeep?
Frank.
He's not in the Jeep. He's in the house. He's in the house. He wants to be a part of the podcast.
Now, who named Frank?
That would be me.
And
Liz and I, but it was my suggestion.
Smart.
So his name is actually Francis
Francis, as in
Sinatra.
What's his
Sinatra.
middle name?
Eleanor. It's always Eleanor. It's either Eleanor or every. If it was a girl, I guarantee it's Marie. Every freaking girl's middle name is Marie.
Hey,
It's not a
my
girl.
dog is great now.
Wouldn't surprise me. It's not a. It just happens to be the middle name
It
of
is.
a lot of people.
No, mine is May. Gracie May.
Gracie May.
Gracie
What
May.
type of dog you got?
Pitbull.
Pitbull. Did you see that story about the pitbull? The
All
two
right,
pitbulls
wait.
that saved.
I feel like you're encouraging me off the
You know what
rail.
I'm talking about?
Go ahead.
Yes. Apparently, a very innocent guy just hanging out in his Jeep that's running, and then two pit bulls saved his life. But apparently they're vicious when
You're talking about Dustin and Nate.
not
No.
our pit bulls, other pit bulls.
Down boy.
There's a lot of parallels to this story
So
here.
many beards, just competing beards, just left and right. Just
All right. They can't hear you. You're talking in the garage, and people can't
Is
hear
this
you.
every episode?
It's really not. I don't know what's happening.
No,
And I was distracted because I thought someone was not suffocating. I thought there was a hose possibly going through the window. Okay, so that's why
you
I was
wouldn't do
worried
it
about-
outside. You do it in the garage.
Not if you ran a hose into the cabin.
That's a lot of work. You need an extension hose.
No, the one you were talking about, yeah.
No, you take it from the tailpipe. Into
How much do you think about this?
I've seen movies.
What movie?
My
do they-
girlfriend listens to murder podcasts and all that stuff.
It's easy to go to bed too.
No, go ahead. This is
No,
going to be
the guy was
an
out in his
interesting
garage,
episode.
and guys wanted to steal his car, so he told them that the keys were inside the house. So they went inside the house, and the two pit bulls.
Oh, I did
Went
see
after
that
him.
video.
Oh,
yeah.
that's smart.
Yeah, he told them the keys were inside. They walked
Find
in.
anything on the internet.
Dogs were like, "Well, that's not them," and and they were rescues.
Pretty sure Frank would lick you to death. It is one way to die. I mean, it's a rare way to die. I don't think I'd like it.
Depends how good of a liquor.
Oh, Jesus.
Do we have a safe word?
We're gonna need one tonight. I tell you
The
what.
safe word is faster. It's always,
What was that?
Meatloaf's always the same.
Yeah,
meatloaf.
no,
Yeah, because it means I'll do anything for love, but not that.
that makes sense.
There
He
it
was
is.
not on the mic for that, was he?
No, he wasn't on the mic for that. He forgets.
How do you feel about an extension mic into the audience just to have?
There's one right there.
There literally is one right there.
There's one right
I feel
there
like
for
they're
him.
just texting each other. It's just what I. Yeah. See?
I don't know. It's tough
All
to say.
Dustin, what do you
Jesus.
think about it?
He said, "Oh, go ahead."
So my initial sip, very much a heat bomb in your mouth. Finishes kind of a medium to long finish, but not anything too crazy. But a real beautiful complexity of flavors. Still trying to pinpoint some of them, but it's got a kind of like a honey sweetness to it, a little bit, not too crazy. But I think at that 126, 127, somewhere around there.
126.
I'm loving it for sure.
So let me ask you a question, just because
Little
everyone else,
McDonald's
I
plug there.
feel like you're a little bit more of an aficionado than some of us. When you are trying a whiskey, a bourbon, everyone does it a little differently.
Right.
What is your process to trying something?
Mine is I'll nose it a few times.
One nostril, two nostrils, separately.
All
Can't
the
tell
above.
if you're joking or not.
I'm being serious.
All right.
All the above. So I'll go both, and then I'll kind of rotate back and forth. Swirl it around a little bit, see if it opens up a little bit to get anything else. Then I'll take an initial sip. I won't try to pinpoint too much from the first sip or two, just because I'm getting my palate acclimated to it.
Sometimes it
Especially
shocks.
for the
especially
higher
this,
proof.
Yeah, this heat is
Yeah,
gonna
the higher
shock
proof
palate
stuff,
a bit, yeah.
for sure. But then as it kind of progresses, I'll look for different notes throughout the first glass. And the second glass, I'll take it and I'll swish around my mouth, kind of like mouthwash a little bit.
Do you use whiskey as mouthwash?
I would. I don't think Kathy really
Think that
would
is a
enjoy
yes.
that too much.
Mint
But
julep.
high enough proof, it'll sanitize just about anything.
Have you been to a dentist recently?
All right.
Within the last year.
So since everything has started, they make you like wash. Have you been to the dentist during COVID?
Yes.
Have you?
We're already getting comments. This is the weirdest beginning to a podcast so far. 141 in, and probably right. Go ahead. Yeah. So they make you do what now?
They make you swish the mouthwash in your mouth for 30 seconds to a minute, probably closer to a minute.
I don't think that's new.
Okay.
Like when you're in the dentist, like before you walk in the waiting room.
Before they start the process, and they have the mask and the gloves, and they have the face mask, the whole deal. They make you, or at least at my dentist, they make you sanitize your mouth for a minute before you start going.
So
Can I come in
you're
with
gonna
whiskey and
sit
do
there
it?
and tell me that if we all just swished around mouthwash several times a day, this COVID thing would be gone?
I'm saying that that's what they told me to do, and
You're not.
I got tested.
And you were negative.
Yeah.
So there you go. Yeah, I've been to the dentist recently, and yeah, she had two masks on, two of the cotton masks on, which I didn't really feel whatever like it was needed. Before Frank opens the door and figures that out, or just let's see how it works out. Just make sure you catch him if he gets through that door. Appreciate that.
Some steak on the other side of the door.
No, don't do that. Don't do that. Dustin might go for it. Anyways, yeah. I think it's funny. There's not a whole lot of people, and you guys correct me if I'm wrong, but I honestly don't know a lot of people that are really into bourbons and whiskeys that have gotten COVID. I'm not saying it's a thing, but I don't really know.
What?
Have you?
You know,
Answer the question.
Of the
Answer the
population, there's not as many people, but I feel like eventually there's going to be, you know, in the beginning of this, there are memes that were going around.
So
that were
no.
like,
So no.
here's
Just
where-
the short answer.
here's the long answer.
No, you're
The
mid
long answer was
right?
when we didn't know anything about it, and granted, we know more and less about it as we go forward. There were memes
Good way to
going
put it.
around that, you know, Kentucky can't get it because of, you know, we heard bourbon kills it, and it was definitely shared by members of the Bourbon and BS community page. We're sharing memes that bourbon kills.
It's not medical advice.
It's literally medical advice is what you're trying to give people.
If you take medical advice from a meme, you deserve to get whatever you're getting.
I've got nothing so far. I'm just kidding.
Memes or
From the memes, I
there
take
you
them
go.
all day long.
There's so many things I want to say that I'm just going to hold back right now.
It's probably best. Here, pour another one.
Yeah. Thinking hot tubs and like what you can and can't do.
So yeah, Old Forester. We've talked about it. We're not going to get into that. Listen back to some of the ones that if you look through our podcast over the last 140 episodes, you scroll through there, especially on iTunes. It's really easy.
And we get to try the 86 tonight too. I mean,
Yeah,
just
you
as
guys
a
can-
comparison.
yeah, for sure.
Yeah.
But I just think that any of those I like. We've done when Dino Tripodis was on way back. I know we did the 1897 and we did a comparison with the 1920. So you had the bottled and bond and we had the Prohibition. So we had those two before on the podcast. Check that out. That was a great one to have with Dino Tripodis, who also has a great whiskey podcast called Whiskey Business. So check him out. Check out that one for us. I know Nate just picked up a bottle of 1910, which we really like, but we haven't reviewed on the podcast before. So that's coming up here soon, hopefully. And yeah. So I mean, I've really been impressed with anything with the Old Forester name on it. This is not one to disappoint. It is strong. It is a little different, in my opinion, but not like different like we've been having. We got Ann Dimmick on next week, and she was the one that helped us out with that Watershed, the 10-year anniversary, that 6-year.
Does she work for Watershed or?
She does.
Okay, nice.
She does. She was with Wild Turkey. Now she's with Watershed. She's going to be on. Amy's on next week as well, shirt singer.
Ooh.
So she's with McClellan. She brought her Weller Foolproof pick the last time. And we have another one that has not been on. It's going to be ladies' night, and I will be sitting kind of on the side, and I think
Moderator?
moderate. I'm trying to think of the right word for my
Instigator?
for my role on that episode. It'll be interesting next week. I hope they all can still make it. I know a lot has changed in the last couple months, but need to lock it up with them. But yeah, it'll be interesting. But Ann Dimmick, what I was going to say is the Watershed, that 6-year one we did that was finished in the apple brandy, very unique. This isn't unique as much in that regard, but it is, I think, a great barrel pick. Che was saying that it is a second one in the U.S., first in Ohio, and it's going to be tough. I think that's a tough process for them.
I think we're very fortunate to be this close to Kentucky and to at least have access, or to at least have friends who have access to stuff like this.
Oh, absolutely.
Oh, yeah, 100%. 100%. Eric Black says Watershed showing up next week. That is the plan. Ann Dimmick from Watershed, she was on an episode during the quarantine time where we had her and Greg from Watershed on, and we're looking forward to having them back on. So that'll be an interesting one. That is the first time that it will be that ratio where it'll be one guy to 3 women on the podcast.
Who's
and
the third woman?
You put me on the spot.
From Watershed or from McKellen?
Not Jody. No. It's a friend of theirs. It's like a reunion, and I'm drawing a blank, and I apologize to you.
It will be a surprise.
We
for
haven't.
everyone.
So her and I have not met. I've met the other two, obviously, but I have not met her. And they were on a late night. It was the night before the Watershed 10-year anniversary bottle that I was sitting on my back patio, which you checked out tonight.
Congratulations, beautiful back patio.
Thank you.
You think we'll ever do a podcast on the back patio?
I think we can make that happen.
All right.
Yeah, we can make that happen. We're gonna really have to make sure the mics are working because I am close to Sunbury Road there, and I don't want to pick up that road noise. But yeah. So, anyways, we were. I was in a late night killing a bottle of Watershed Old Fashioned, and somehow
Very nice.
between starting and finishing that bottle, I locked down 3 women on my podcast to come on together.
Whatever it takes, dude.
Sounds like a successful night.
Liquid courage, What's the proof on a Watershed Old Fashioned?
That is.
And it tastes like an old fashioned right out of the
haven't had
bottle.
it?
I've not had
Oh, I
it.
wish I had some right now.
I'm a little
It's very good.
I'm a little hesitant to.
I was very skeptical with
As
it.
you should be, but
it's actually
we need to
very
make sure
good.
this happens.
It's very good.
I'm not knocking it.
It's it's like 34%. So it's close to 70. It's 60 to 70. No, it's like 70%.
Would you drink it
or
on
70
ice
proof.
or would you drink it straight?
I drink it on ice.
Okay.
It's good. Going back to this, yeah. Anyways, I was saying this is a unique bottle. It's a great pick. We are very fortunate, and I want to thank Spencer for bringing it. I want to thank Che if you were involved in this. I want to thank Bob Breyer. I think he was involved in this.
Please,
Genty,
yeah.
Genty especially, who made this bottle happen. He is
does,
a
not know that I have this.
He might now. He might now. So check out Opa. There's a plug for your bar. Who again? He's been interviewed by a lot of local publications. I don't know how wide that scope goes, but Opa is fantastic. I can't tell you how many different bottles they have, but for it to be a very unique bar, would you say 500 plus? Yeah, it's 500 plus, but yeah. So check it out, Opa. And this is a great name, like you said. It's That Barrel Fucking Baskin.
Yeah, I think before you kind of get into cigar, I do agree with Shannon. I do think the cigar is adding a little bit of heat.
A little extra oomph.
Exactly. Oomph is the exact right word to this. And I'm not even sure if it's because the cigar is a stronger cigar. It's just because I think the combination is just adding, just on my tongue, I can just, I can feel it.
Yeah, 100%.
Yeah, I think so. This is the cigar. Opa says, Opa says, Doug Ruffalo says, where's Opa? It is in Delaware, Ohio. Check it out. Opa, does anyone know the official name of it? Yeah, if you look up Opa, OPA Bar and Grill, you should be able to find it.
There's also Panini Opa, which is not related, and that is just a Greek restaurant.
Probably have good paninis.
Opa is also a Greek Mediterranean.
Yeah, he's Greek Mediterranean restaurant as well. So just a very unique place. But check it out. Fuente, this is in my opinion, like I said earlier, this is a sleeper in their portfolio. When we're selling them, at least, if you guys are familiar, I think it was formed in, I'm going to look this up to verify, I think 1912. We've done the history of Fuente before on the podcast, but that is Arturo Fuente. It's named after, you see, A Fuente. So in the retail side of things, we hear A Fuente a lot. We hear A Fuente Gran Reserva. We get, excuse me, it can be a little confusing when you're looking at the traditional bands on the Fuente line. And this is something that Carlos Fuente Sr. took over in 1958. And then Junior's running it, Carlito's running it now. And this is a cigar that it's an Ecuadorian wrapper, Sungrown, obviously. This is a Sungrown. So you'll see on the box, even like the 858s, the Chateau, this is part of the Chateau series. You'll see natural, you'll see Maduro. On this, the natural is going to be a blue label on the side, like a sticker. The Maduro is a darker one. And then the natural Sungrown is a black sticker on the side of the box with gold foil. And so one of the things that the 858, which is a very popular cigar for them, natural Maduro, the 858 comes in a natural Sungrown, but that is like a once or a couple times a year release.
Okay.
So it's a rarer wrapper leaf to go on there. Dominican filler and binder on this, so this is part of that. And the Cuban Belicoso is the Vitola, or the size and shape. This is a cigar. Well, let me ask you, what do you guys think of this? I know we're drinking a pretty stout bourbon here.
So right off the light, I got a lot of I'm not in all the notes and all the crazy stuff people talk about, but I actually did get the first hit was creamy, very creamy right off the rip for me.
Creamy.
Yeah, that was like the first thing I really like. Oh shit, this is different. And then it's just been a smooth ride. It hasn't been up and down. It hasn't changed flavors on me. It's just a nice, even smoke, which I thoroughly enjoy.
I got a little sweetness just off the first rip. And
Yeah.
then I agree with Shannon. It kind of smooths out. Would you consider this a medium or a medium full?
I'd say strength-wise is medium. I think flavor-wise it is definitely, pushing medium full body. I think this is a very full-flavored cigar.
So how do you determine if you describe a cigar as medium or medium full if the flavor is different than the strength?
So think
Or
of
where does the strength come
So
from?
let me-
and
let me-
where does the flavor come
All
from?
right, so let me compare this to the whiskey world, what we're talking about. So you can have something that's a very high proof,
Okay.
and typically with whiskey, you're going to get it's like full flavored as well, right? So it's got just a lot. Like we're looking for that throat punch, Shannon, with
Yeah.
this bottle. Same thing, something with a very full strength cigar. And strength is nicotine, so it's typically going to be coming from the different leaves and where they're getting it. So the haro, or if you're down to like, quick refresher here, is so the top of a plant you typically, and this is there's 6 primates, but to kind of summarize, you have Ligero up the top, and then you have Seco in the middle and Velato in the bottom, right? So with that being said, up towards the top you get fuller strength. So you get it's not necessarily as flavorful. It can be a little
words
bitter.
You're saying, are they the leaves?
Yes.
Okay.
On a tobacco plant. So if this bottle was a tobacco plant, you've got this is obviously
This helps me. I apologize if people have already know this, but
so
this helps me out.
I'm going to try to do this for the video and also for the audio. So on the bottom of the so almost not a Willet bottle. I'm trying to think, but just for the sake of all intents and purposes here, you've got on the I'm going to put this up there. On the bottom, you're going to have wider leaves typically, or like it's going to stretch out further, and that's going to be less sun is hitting that, right? So you're going to get less nutrients from the sun. You'll get it's very combustible, but you're not going to get as much flavor from it, and you're not going to get as much strength.
So what do they use those bottom leaves for?
So that'll typically the bottom leaves will go into the filler, typically,
Just because it's easy to
it's
smoke?
combustible. It'll lighten things up a little bit, and it'll fill the cigar. But you'll use that a little bit. In the middle, you're going to be in that I've heard Viso Seco. So you're going to have that Seco, which is going to be typically right in the middle, right? So it's again, this is not really the gospel if you're looking at the bottle on the table, but it's wider.
Does Seco mean something?
Second, so yeah,
Second.
yeah. As far as I know, and I'm in the middle of a Camacho course, so I'm looking forward. I'm going to try to get George Ramey, who's the brand ambassador for Camacho cigars.
Like Camachos.
I do too.
Bought a bunch of Camachos off you.
I think they're doing great things, and Dan Burris from Davidoff, who they own Camacho.
Davidoff owns Camacho.
Yeah. We'll go into that in another podcast, but yes, they acquired them back in 2008ish.
Just very different than what I think of Davidoff. Just for the
Right. And Aroa owned them before, Christian Aroa. So, anyways, in the middle, you're going to get a little bit more flavor. You're going to get a little more strength, right? And there's Genty watching with us.
Okay.
So stay tuned for a second barrel coming soon.
Woo!
So he's in it. So you're gonna see the wide range or wide stretch on the bottom. It'll narrow up a little bit on the Seco, but again, this is just the science behind how a plant's trying to reach up to the sun, right? So these leaves are trying to stretch out to get
Touch the sun.
They're trying to stretch out to the side to get some of that sunlight. And then as the plant grows up, then you have Ligero. So now you're in first, second primings is what they call those layers. And then you're in the third and fourth primings in the middle for Seco-ish. And then Ligero at the top, fifth and sixth. And there's different terms. And depending on who you talk to, you're going to hear some different terms for like almost a breakdown in the middle of it. But I'm trying to keep this a little bit more.
How tall is a typical?
It depends on
plant?
the seed. So like the
3 feet, 5 feet, 10 feet.
No, it's definitely probably 5+ for a lot of them.
Like a corn stalk type size.
Not quite that big, in my opinion.
Okay.
But again, I have not been out. I'm not claiming to be at all these fields. The only field I've been at when it was full grown plants were it was in Connecticut, and it was Connecticut broadleaf, and the Connecticut broadleaf came up to about chest high. So you're looking at like what 3-4 feet.
Depending on whose chest, yeah.
But yeah, like 3 to 4 feet. All right. But the Ligero is going to be at the top. That's going to give you more strength, nicotine, because it's going to be getting most of the sunlight. And sometimes they'll do different cuts where they'll like actually do, instead of stalk cut, which is cutting it at the bottom all at once and then curing that, you'll sometimes have them, they'll chop off some of the leaves and they'll let it out in the sun a little bit longer, and that's where you get some of the Maduro shade and all that stuff. And also that's from fermentation as well. So just a quick, brief overview. I am brushing up, and full disclosure, I'm brushing up, taking this
it
course.
is medium strength,
Right.
but full bodied or full flavor.
So think of like a 90 proof whiskey.
That doesn't taste watered down.
Correct. And you take a sip of it and you're like, wow, that's a lot going on
Got
there.
some
That's
stuff.
a lot of flavor. Full flavored, medium body. Right? So that's why I look at it. This one, in my opinion, this Cuban Belicoso, of the natural Sungrown from Fuente, I think it kind of has that. I think this has that kind of 90 proof to compare it to the whiskey world. But I think it's got a lot going on.
Yeah, it's very
I think
complex.
it hits your palate pretty good.
It's got a good retrohale. It's got a nice. It didn't destroy me on the retrohale like some cigars do.
Yeah, I agree. But yeah, I think this is a great overlooked cigar. As I was doing a little bit, just trying to get some different opinions of this online and looking at some stuff online, because I have my opinions and I try to brush up what people are reviewing this, because again, especially with this one, and we apologize, looks like we're losing the feed again a little bit here on the video, but yeah, hopefully it comes back. But yeah, anyways, they were saying this is kind of like the poor man's opus on one of the reviews, and I don't compare the two, but I think you're getting a lot from the cigar, especially for the price being in that kind of $10 give or take.
What would you call this size?
This is called the Cuban Belicoso. That is the name for this Vitola.
And what is the ring gauge of this?
Oh, I would say probably in the 52, 54, somewhere in that range.
And at the shop, what's the most popular ring gauge size, would you say?
I'd say about that.
So you think lasts about 45 minutes or so, you'd say?
This cigar?
Yeah.
No,
In
the
an
ring. Yeah, this is an hour smoke.
Okay.
I think it's an hour.
Because
Smoke.
I like that question. You know, years ago, probably, I don't know, when did you start the Tinder Box?
Going on 8 years.
Yeah, I mean, that was one of the questions that you would ask me and I would ask you is, you know, how long do you plan on smoking this?
Right.
You know, at weddings or things like that where people are just hanging out for a half hour or so, you know, would you recommend something like this, or would you say you got to get a smaller size, or you think that everyone's just going to ash it out kind of halfway through, so it doesn't really matter if it's just a social event?
No, I think social event. So yeah, this is we're rounding out the wedding season based on what people are dealing with as far as COVID and everything else. If the wedding season actually happened for a lot of people.
I remember a few years ago, I was over at Jeff Ruby's. You guys ever been to a Jeff Ruby's or any of those types of places?
I haven't been to this one. I have yet to go.
You ever been to any of the ones in like Cincy or anything like that?
No, I've heard great things.
So it's all delicious, right? Good steaks, all that type of stuff, good sides. But they also, and at least in Cincinnati, they offer the super long, their own brand of cigars. And it's about the size of a cigar box. You're like, I'll have one of those. Well, you're going to be there for about 3 hours.
Smart.
Smoking it is smart. Yeah, you're not wrong. But I think that's
So they have their own like smoking room.
They have their own patio.
Yeah.
Where they will sell their cigars, and they want you to have. I'm not a big proponent of smoking cigars and eating. Just for me, it just doesn't work. But I enjoy either having a cigar before or after.
I'm with you there.
Real quick side note: this is because we are doing it live here. Nate, if you want to go back inside, grab the Kong out of the freezer. The red one in the freezer. There's another one. There's another one in the freezer. And give that to him. He will be good for 5 minutes. Yeah, solid 5 minutes. Yeah. Thank you, Uncle Nate. Frank, say thank you. Who else has puppies during COVID? I've heard of COVID babies.
I feel like so. In all seriousness, I feel like a lot of the shelters were down. Like,
dude, we couldn't find one.
Yeah, you could not find a puppy during COVID. Everyone thought that there was something.
Sadly, and I think I predicted this correctly, is that you can find as many as you want right now because there are a lot that are coming back. They're not going to be puppies.
I can get you a cat. If you want a cat, I got cats. We can get you a cat.
Yeah, I don't understand.
Negative.
I don't understand why anyone wanted one.
Negative.
Well, that's why they're available.
What do you say the price point was on this?
You give or take $10. I don't know what the MSRP is, but I mean for like the 858 size, you're at the $8.95 on our shelf, but I think the MSRP, because of tobacco tax, is a little bit lower. This cigar is going to be in that same realm. You're around that $10 give or take. So it is a average price cigar, I'd say these days.
Yeah.
Is around that $10.
It starts to kick your butt a little bit. For me, a little bit.
I think
the cigar
that's a
for
combination
$10 it starts to
between
kick your
the
butt
two of
a little bit. Yeah. But I think Shannon hit it off, right off the head in the beginning, where she said the cigar definitely impacts the flavor of the whiskey, or at least the heat level, as far as killing the palate a little bit too.
And so this is one of those.
Not in a bad way, but just in general.
I will say this is that people will ask when you're looking at cigars and you're looking at them on the shelf and you see the same blend of cigars, and you'll see the different sizes, and people typically will ask, why is the torpedo, which this is a Belicoso, which that is a kind of a torpedo shape, right? Torpedo head. They'll ask why that is more expensive, and usually it's just 50 cents to $1. It's not anything dramatic typically, But the big part of it is that it takes a different level roller to do a torpedo.
Oh, absolutely.
So that's going to add some of that, almost like consider it labor cost. You can't have a roller that is good at just up to like a Toro size or a Robusto size. Typically, you're going to need someone that can actually roll the cigar where you have this tapered end on the head of the cigar and be able to make it still draw properly. Figurados are tapered on both sides, and that's going to be another level roller.
Now, I've always wondered, why would you even roll a torpedo? What's the point? Like, is it just a little extra?
Aesthetics?
Is it just a little extra tobacco, maybe?
No, in fact, it'd probably be, depending on the length, it might be a little less.
On the margins, right?
Yeah, so I look at it as you almost are funneling that smoke. You're concentrating that smoke, and Nate, you wants to jump in and feel free. But it's kind of like the figurado to take it a step further for me is you'll see some figurados that will start very narrow. Fuente's got the Hemingway series, right? So you start really narrow, and then you kind of have a little bit. We were joking about this a couple weeks ago, where it like gets really bulbous and then comes back in. So as the ring gauge transitions as you're smoking it, you'll see a little bit of change in the flavor profile, in my opinion. With a torpedo or a Belicoso, there's something about, and I don't know if it's the scientific part of it, but there's something about the way that the smoke is then at the very end as you are drawing in, it all of a sudden narrows up a little bit. You know, you kind of think about it, it tapers at the end. You can cut it down beyond that, but the way it's rolled, you're going to get a little bit, it's almost like a funnel, as Nate says, but like when you do a punch cut, sometimes it'll taste a little different because all that smoke. Rarely.
What's the point of a punch cut?
I love punch. That's probably my go-to is a punch. I love the punch. I just do.
No problem. What's the point of a V cut?
So it's all personal preference. What do you want to say, Nate, about the Belicoso?
Sometimes some companies, when they do a torpedo or a Belicoso, they'll make it a quarter to a half inch longer because you're going to be cutting some of it off for that torpedo.
I like that. That's a good idea.
So you're not sacrificing as much smoke time. But also, if you notice, like Shannon, when I cut yours with my, because you have a closed back
that's
cutter.
What I say. I brought the wrong cutter for the torpedo.
Yeah, so a cutter that has a closed back. If you're cutting a torpedo or a Belicoso, like you have to cut it multiple times.
Correct.
But if you notice, like when I cut yours, I didn't cut a whole lot off.
Right.
And you were still able to get a good smooth draw.
Oh, it was coming on
that
nice.
cigar. So it kind of funnels it in, and even when you smoke it, like once you take a pull, like you'll still see smoke coming out of the head of that cigar because it just pulls so easily, but you don't have to cut as much off.
I think I do the punch too because I think it makes the cigar last just a wee bit longer, nothing crazy.
It'll slow it down a little bit. I mean, that's surface area, right?
And then I have a tendency to really chew on my cigars, and for whatever reason, the punch helps me keep it together a little bit, for me at least.
Here's my big thing is that what I've noticed is that, from the retail side, is that you'll hear from people like, I don't like to have the tobacco in my mouth. Like when I'm smoking on it with a straight cut, or they call it like a flat cut, you're going to get like the tobacco pieces, shards in your mouth. That's, in my opinion, either technique. He wants to know if you can have some more.
Yeah, please.
That's either technique of cutting, or it is going to be your cutter is dull. With a punch cutter, it is if you can get it without cracking the cap. You know, if you don't have a dull cutter, it is really straightforward, right? I mean, literally, it's straightforward in the cap of the cigar. It's less universal. We couldn't really do it very well on a Belicoso. The V cutter is kind of a combination between a flat or a straight cut and a punch cut, because you have a guard on it as you push the end of a traditional rounded head cigar. In the end of it, you push it up against there, you hold it firm, and if you have a sharp V cutter,
can't screw it up.
And again, you can. I mean, again, the biggest thing about it is any blade. So think about
is there such thing as a high-end cutter?
Oh, 100%, yeah.
That does multiple things?
Yeah, ask Nate about the one I dropped.
No.
No, a high-end cutter, yes. I mean, you've got plenty. So he's got, so.
That's a dental dam. I don't know what that is.
Jesus. There is, so there's a couple different things about accessories, just like anything else, right? So.
Do you sell high-end cutters at the shop?
nothing too crazy high end. What I was going to compare,
$100 for a cutter?
yeah.
Woo. Snakeskin?
Beyond that, so listen, beyond that, you're going to get into just like kind of I compare it to jewelry and watches, right? You can actually go a lot higher end with lighters and cutters if you start adding precious metals to them, you start adding jewels to them. It is something where, like a watch, that I know plenty of friends that have high-end watches, and the reason that they're high-end is, yes, they have more jewels as far as the movement, right? So you have that part of it with a watch.
Or the bling.
But, yeah, so you either have it's more intricate as far as the mechanisms, doesn't make it better or more accurate long-term.
Smoother cut.
Smoother.
Can you
Well,
sharpen a cutter?
You can with like a Dremel, but not typically. There are some that are considered self-sharpening, and that is just the way that it kind of comes together.
Sharpens itself.
Sharpens itself.
Probably comes
I
down
look
to
at a cutter.
sharpness.
I am a typical, and this is a cutter that I've always liked. This is a Monte Cristo. This is not necessarily a plug for Altadis because they don't make this anymore.
Sponsor.
It is our sponsor, yes, but they don't make this cigar cutter anymore, and I have a backup that I bought off of eBay. This is the part of their samurai cutter line, and this is one that I have.
If you
some
look
of my
at his
customers.
next to this is all plastic with a
So
cutter.
you're going into the basics, right? So it's
Yeah.
like that's a plastic one with metal blades. So you want to obviously have metal blades. That's a Nat Sherman one. That's got a backing to it, so that is good for people that don't necessarily want to overcut their cigar. So that is another aspect of it. That's a training aspect with cigars, is that you want to stay above the cap. I think we talked about that before on the podcast.
So now that I'm aware that you can't smoke cigars at the shop anymore, are you still cutting cigars or no?
Yes.
Okay.
Not preferably, only if they don't put it in their mouth. This is something that we thought about going into the COVID changes. We were debating whether or not we would allow people to cut their own cigars or we would cut it. We prefer to cut it, and this is something that we'll take out of the cellophane and then we'll cut it for them, and then we'll give them the cigar, because this is something that, again, it's not necessarily being sanitized. We're not touching the blades.
Let me ask you a question, because we've all been.
And I
to
do want
this-
to apologize
this-
to the Facebook crowd and the YouTube crowd that this is choppy.
Oh,
I don't know what's going on.
we'll
It's
get
2
it
weeks in
back.
a row.
If you do not have a cutter, what is your go-to move to cut a cigar?
Go-to move on
Hey.
that is going to be either. Well,
That's not a knife. And if you don't
so
have a
for me,
knife
here's
on you,
all right. I'm going to answer. I'm going to answer the question. Is going to be either if you are well versed, like a lot of rollers and people in some of the countries that these cigars are coming out of, they use a fingernail, and you literally just take, if you have a fingernail, you will break the cap and you will go around it and hopefully be able to pull that off.
Okay.
That cap. I, on the other hand, because I'm not good at that and I'm rarely without it. For me, if I leave the house without a cutter, it's like I'm leaving without my keys. I have to make sure I have my keys, my cutter, my lighter, my wallet,
Mask.
and my phone, and sometimes my mask.
Optional.
But Avi says I'll get you a 100-foot Ethernet and adapter to hardwire.
Nice.
Avi, we need you. Welcome back to the.
information you
The
could
rest
have
of us.
brought to us yesterday, Avi.
Well, that's the other thing.
I
about,
use my teeth,
I use my teeth too,
but I don't use.
or a steak knife.
No, I use my teeth, and I would not cut a Belicoso like we're smoking tonight, because that is literally biting off the end of it. When I'm doing it on a traditional cigar, and it's very rare, but I will literally, I basically skin it.
Yeah.
So I drag my teeth across the cap. I don't bite into the cigar. I almost scrape it.
For the second cigar, could you show me?
Sure.
All right, cool. Just a random
Not
question.
always
If you don't have a
Not
wine
always pretty.
cork, if you don't have a there's ways to do things. If you don't
That's
have a
kinda
bottle
like-
opener, there's ways to do things.
Yeah, it's like with the punch. If you don't have a sharp punch, when you go to press into it, it can destroy that cap real quick. And I've had that problem, like,
Oh yeah.
and it
Absolutely.
sucks. You just destroy the whole end of it. You're like, well, what the fuck?
No, absolutely.
Steve, is there any talk? And I know you had Jake on this, or at least he was here, last week or a couple weeks ago.
Yeah.
Is there any talk of having cigars and liquor available in Ohio at the same time? I know there's some places where you can't
No,
BYO,
actually,
but
no. So there's a couple things going on right now in Ohio, and I was talking to Brian, who's the owner of the Tinder Box, today about it. I got to be honest. There's a concern for me that I could see, depending on how the next 6 months go or longer, that the tobacco industry, statewide and also nationwide, is constantly fighting, right? So you're constantly fighting for no change. You don't want it to get any worse. You don't want
Status quo.
Well, you don't want any more
regulation
or control over it. So this could easily go. I'm not trying to put any ideas in anyone's head, but I can see people saying like this is a respiratory disease virus, and so now all of a sudden you could platform this, everything we've been going through this year, into something where it's like, well, obviously we want to make sure that everyone can be healthier, and then we need to go after tobacco even harder.
Like similar to vaping, where they didn't know it was in it and started.
Similar to that, and it would be, as always, be 100% ironic because still the leading killer in America is heart disease, and you guys can swing over and pick up a Big Mac on your way home. So, I say, they're all fucking out of their minds.
Have you had a Big Mac?
Never in my life.
I've never had a Big Mac.
I've eaten fast food plenty of times. I'm just saying it's point being, in Ohio right now, it won't, because the smoking ban was in around 2006, and we have it's a smoke-free workplace exemption. So that means it's not about smoking in a cigar shop. It's not about like specifically cigar lounges or anything like that. It is purely, you have to have 80% of your revenue come in from tobacco sales. It's lazy legislation, like a lot of times, right? This is a blanket thing where you just kind of sloppily put your dick on the table and be like, hey, this is what we're doing for everyone. This will help out some of these people that have cigar shops. You can smoke in there, but if you sell some other items, you won't be able to smoke in there. And that's why, like, you can't smoke in bars. That's why you can't smoke in retail. You can't smoke in offices. You can't smoke in any public indoor place because of the way they put that.
You can't smoke cigarettes in a lot of cigar shops.
That's personal. That's not legal. It's not I'm sorry. That's not. Yeah, that's a store policy. That's not a legal thing. Tobacco is tobacco. It's judged on that, other than taxes.
Okay, interesting. So, Steve, what do you think about the cigar? By the way,
like I said, I like this cigar. I think it's a sleeper for Fuente. I think this is something that Fuente is doing their best to get their products out here to everyone. And if you guys are going to your local brick and mortar, you're checking it out wherever you get your cigars, this is one that I would definitely check out. Their Sungrown series or their Chateau series with the Sungrown wrapper. I think it's a fantastic cigar. I think it is a sleeper, like I said. This is something that is not your typical natural or Maduro. It's not a broadleaf. It's not a Dominican.
It looks like a Maduro.
Well, and that's one of the things that's so nice about it is that Ecuadorian wrapper on there is that they call it sun-grown, which is just basically, it's not shade-grown.
Does that mean anything when they say
sun-grown? It's not shade-grown.
Or is that just a term?
No, it's not shade-grown. It's not fermented to be Maduro. It's going to be a natural, as they say on there, natural sun-grown wrapper. So that is something that I can appreciate about what Fuente is doing, and I wish they would do it with more cigars, but this is the Cuban Belicoso is typically readily available. You got the King B out there that's also readily available typically. But check out that natural sun-grown wrapper on the Fuentes.
Do people come to the shop? I know some people will come in asking for a Connecticut wrapper. Do people actually come into the store asking for a sun-grown wrapper?
So they do. This is something, sun-grown is now a marketed term as well.
That's why I was
just
like
Maduro. Yeah, so sun-grown. Basically, even shade-grown is still sun-grown, but it's shade-grown. Like, so there's cheesecloth over the fields, and it keeps it light. Everything is sun-grown. It's all grown under the sun, if that makes sense.
If you were to have any cigars, and Chan, you can answer this too, is there a specific wrapper that you feel is better towards your palate than others?
Since I've been smoking cigars, I've always leaned towards the Maduro wrapper. I just like the darker, full flavor, more flavor. Like the lighter the wrapper to me it doesn't fit my palate that well. There's a few of them that do, but I'm definitely more towards a darker, full flavor wrapper.
Steve, you can help me out. Is that more perception versus reality, or is that just, hey, the darker the wrapper, the more flavor you'd get, or is that just, hey, if I see it's a darker wrapper, I know it's gonna have more flavor?
No, I think it's a blending process, right? It's just like a bottle of whiskey. Yeah. So Nate says different. So a bottle of whiskey. Well, let's bring it back to the other
As
part
dark
of this
as it can get.
podcast. Dark typically will mean you expect it to be full flavored, but there are also lighter colored bottles
Sure.
that you still get a lot of full flavor from.
Now I have been surprised by some, like when you hand me something like this one, a little lighter. I'm like, it might be okay. Then you smoke it and you're like, oh shit, this is really fucking good.
That'll get you going a little
Yeah,
bit.
absolutely.
Yeah. Well, what do you guys? Let's get into the pairing here while we can. Here, we're an hour in here, and I do, like I said. I mean, for those listening to the audio, you're not experienced to this. I just did another test. We're at 20 plus meg up. I think this is a StreamYard Facebook thing.
What's the stream that we're on the computer?
That's the live on StreamYard, but that's what I'm saying. Facebook is definitely, there's some form of breakdown between the two. This is 2 weeks in a row, so we want to apologize. If you guys, good news is you can't see us clearly, so you don't have to look at our faces, but hopefully you guys can have us on audio. I don't know what it is,
It's all right, man.
but you know, it's the way it works.
Man.
We've had this for now, we're almost 3 years in, Nate, right? And Dustin.
When is the 3-year
Almost
anniversary?
3,
Episode 156.
one,
Beginning of February.
yeah.
February
Yeah.
2nd or 3rd is the 3-year anniversary.
So the first week of February, but we've had our ups and downs with technology. We rely on this. We don't complain too hard because Zuckerberg is always watching and listening, so we don't want to piss him off too much. We appreciate it. I mean, I don't think it's anything with tobacco, but we're utilizing tools, and that can go into the conversation part 2. The new normal is that you're relying on technology, and everyone says, oh, that's great, as long as it works, right? And so this is something that, unless any of you guys here in the garage, we got 5 people in the garage right now, if anyone can come up with their own massive platform for streaming this and getting a
I think Avi's got a hold of it.
Avi, if you're working on your Avi book or whatever you want to call it, Facebook
Stat
by Avi.
911 stat to the Crane Garage, please.
There we go. All right, so let's do the rating. Let's do the rating for part 1, guys. Thank you for tuning in. If you guys are enjoying this has been a little bit of a scattered part 1, which I actually can appreciate. Now we got sirens in the background.
Get that Jeep.
Whole world's going to shit.
The whole world is not going to shit. It's just not. We'll be all right. You just gotta.
I like
just
that
gotta-
attitude. I like that attitude.
I mean, here's the thing with everything going on. You just got to adapt. Adapt.
All right, that's part 2. Let's go with the
But
ratings.
What's the point of fighting with?
I'll start them off here. So the cigar,
you,
we'll start with the cigar.
You look great in the blurry picture, by the way.
It's the best I ever looked.
It's a good looking hat, dude. Good looking hat, dude. I want that.
You got the shadow and a black T-shirt. Look at that. You just see like these massive arms and.
I gotta get tattoos on my arm. That's just all there is to it, man. He looks cool as shit.
It's perception. That's it.
Whatever it takes.
All right, so start with the cigar. This is where we do it. It's out of 10. 10 being the highest, right? So you do the cigar, you do the whiskey, and then you do the whiskey first because we started the whiskey with the whiskey. You do the whiskey first, the Old Forester single barrel strength. This is a barrel pick through OPA here in Delaware, Ohio. Guys, check him out. Genty was on earlier. He said he's got a second barrel pick coming, which is I'm really looking forward to. But you do that first, and then you have the Fuente, the Cuban Belicoso Sungrown.
Mm-hmm.
So out of 10, 10 being the highest, and then do the pairing out of 10 as well.
So with the bourbon, I wasn't over the top impressed right off the rip for the 127.
Sure, 126 ish. So yeah, I mean, it's got some heat.
127.2
What's a Booker's?
ballpark.
Backyard barbecue's 129. That's got some heat. You're having some fire. 120 to 130.
You're
Okay,
in
so
that
this is right in that
ballpark,
right in
right?
that range.
Yeah.
This is a strong barrel strength. I would say
Right.
this.
So I was
Like
expecting
Elijah Craig barrel proof.
Yeah.
I was expecting like this crazy punch off the rip, and it didn't happen. And I was like, okay, cool. But like we said, as we were continuing to drinking it, it kind of opened up a little bit, and I started feeling it more, and it started kind of hanging out in the back of the palate. And I started feeling it in my chest a little bit more. So
Okay.
it actually came on much better the farther I got into it. So I would have started out as a 7.5. I'm up to a good solid 8.5, 9 right now.
Wow, good for you.
Yeah, it got better as I drank it, and that's a good thing.
So if you had to buy this at a bar or restaurant, and they just gave you a couple ounce pour, what would you pay for that couple ounce pour?
You're probably looking around 13.
Okay.
I would think so.
No, man, it's not my bar, so whatever you want to charge. Yeah.
I would think it's probably around that $13.5 pour, 2 ounce pour,
Yeah,
somewhere in there.
that's a good price, I think, for it.
Yeah.
Honestly, I do. I think it's a good price.
So you got 8.5 on the bourbon?
Yeah, I'll go with a good 8.5. Yeah, I like it. Definitely got better the more I drank it, which is
Okay.
always a good sign for me. So with the cigar, I really love the cigar. It's nice and smooth. It stays steady. The draws are really good. It's constructed very well.
Right.
I like a cigar that doesn't take me on a ride too much.
Right.
The strength is good. It's not over the top. It smokes really well. It's got a lot of good smoke when I draw it. I love a good cigar that has a nice draw and I can blow out a lot of good smoke. So I'm going with a solid 9 on this cigar, man. It's very good. It's
Good.
definitely something I'll add to the humidor.
All right, pairing.
Pairing, solid 8.5, because the more we smoke, the more we drink. Everything just kind of came together. One doesn't overpower the other.
Mm-hmm.
You could sit on the back patio on a nice cool night like this, have this cigar and this drink, and you'll be a happy camper.
For sure.
Nice, man.
Spence.
So bourbon wise, and again, this is a single barrel, so it might taste differently depending on what type of barrel you get and things like that. I'm going to go probably a 8.1 is where I'm going with it. I definitely enjoy the fact that it is barrel strength. I like the fact that it's single barrel, so it's a little unique. But as far as the depth of it, it does something. It doesn't do everything for me. It's a good solid bourbon, but it doesn't knock me. I would definitely try it again and continue to go for it, but it doesn't knock my boots off, I guess would be the fair thing to say. As far as the cigar I think pairs relatively well with it. It is full flavor on the cigar, and I would say medium full, I guess, between the combination.
So it makes sense, right?
It makes sense. It happens to go well with a stronger bourbon. The cigar itself, I would probably go 7.8, 7.9. It's a solid cigar. It obviously draws well. It's well constructed.
Yeah.
Fuente is, a phenomenal brand. And then combination, I'd go 8.1, 8.2. They go well together.
Rough crowd.
It's not a rough crowd because, there's someone who was on a couple weeks ago that says you got to leave room for improvement and things like that. And I do like the combination, but I feel like together they are good. But I'm not going to say they're great. I do think the cigar is a great cigar. It'd be interesting to taste the cigar on its own, just to kind of see what it does, and maybe drop a couple drops of water into the bourbon and see where we're going with it. It's a good full flavored cigar, and for $10, it's really tough to beat. Combination wise, 8.1, 8.2 ish. That's for me. That's not denigrating either of the two products. I just think that the combination it's a good combination. I think the cigar holds up to the bourbon holds up to the cigar. I just don't think there's anything special, me personally, between the two.
Right on. The cigar definitely brought out more heat.
Yeah.
With the drink.
It really did. Good call from the early outset.
So So with the whiskey, Genty, you did a great job. I think this is a great barrel pick. I think this bottle, and before this will allude into that or allude to it. I think this is a great bottle to sip on. Great nightcap. This is something different.
Good call on the nightcap.
Yeah, and the proof helps with it, right? I mean, the proof helps with it. As far as nightcap, for me, I like a barrel proof at the end of the night. I like you got to go even. I know it's kind of up and down for people these days, but like Weller 107, Antique 107.
Delicious.
Love it. I absolutely love it. And there's nothing wrong with a lower proof, but I do like that kind of heat.
You can do a special
that warmth.
reserve later if you want.
I'm good.
Okay.
I'm good. I got a couple bottles of 107 inside we can do, but
It's just not your thing.
Special Reserve's not. Yeah. So, anyways, I'd give this, as far as the whiskey on its own, I'd give it a 9. I think this is a great pick. I think this is a good bottle. I enjoyed it as I got into it. I think that the cigar was not a great pairing. I think this was. So. Before I get it, so 9 on the whiskey. Opa in Delaware, Ohio. Guys, check it out if you guys are in the area. If you're local in the Columbus area, go up there, check it out. I need to do it myself. I'm kind of projecting at this point is that I need to go up there. But the Fuente, the Cuban Belicoso, I also give a 9. I think this is a sleeper. I think this is a great cigar. I've always enjoyed it. I'm glad we have it in at the Tinder Box at Easton, which is one of our sponsors. If you guys haven't tried this, the whole Cuban thing, some people think it's like, oh, it's Cuban. It's not Cuban. Some people are like, oh, you put Cuban on it, go fuck yourself. Also, not Cuban. It's
So
just
why do they call it that?
just the shape. It's Cuban Belicoso. This is just
So
something.
the shape
It's an
is,
ode
the
to
Cuban
it.
Belicoso just has to do with the shape. It has nothing to do
Not
with
the
the
blend.
flavor.
Not the blend. Yeah. So it's a Cuban Belicoso. I think it's a 9 on its own. I think the pairing. Jeez, I hate to say this. This is an 8 minus, man. This is. As I've done this, through the last 140 episodes, as we do this through the last hour, I enjoy this cigar more with the 86 Old Forester. I had a glass of the single barrel. Thank you, Spencer.
Sure.
I had a glass of the regular $18, per bottle
Steel.
Old Forester 86,
Steel.
which is a steel. And the cigar went better with the Old Forester 86. And
Really?
that makes sense, right?
Because
the 86.
the cigar is stronger?
Well, I just think the 86 is more of a, and this is not a negative. I think it's more of a neutral type of a pairing. It's going to go with a lot of stuff. This is their bread and butter. It's lighter, sweeter, as Nate says off the mic. I think this is something that will go well. So the pairing, like I said, it's an 8 minus for me. If you're gonna do the Old Forester, if you're at Opa and you're on the, if you're able to smoke a cigar while drinking this bottle, don't pick this. I don't even know what to pick. I would say maybe something that's not quite as full, something medium, something again almost like neutral to go with it and not take anything away from
like
it.
a Woodford or something like that?
No, I'm saying so with the bottle that we're drinking
with the cigar.
with the cigar, Old Forester, Woodford, any everyday whiskey.
Lighter.
4 rows of small batch.
Everyday whiskey.
Yeah.
BS Gold, I'd be interested to try. With it.
Very, very attainable goal if you want.
I think that would conflict. I think it's too much. I think it's too much pepper. I think it's too much. You can't go too full. So that's where I'm at with the pairing. I've got an idea as we go into the next part of this. I've got a half-smoked BS Gold in my car that I might actually light up in the meantime while I still have something in my glass. But I do want to thank our sponsors for part 1. And again, I feel terrible for all of you watching.
Terrible.
You can see this is a connection thing, not with us, but I think there is something going on with the platform we use with StreamYard and with Facebook. Because if you look, they can get our audio, and if you look at the banners are crisp. There's no issues with that. It's the movement behind, and even
maybe we reset it to part 2.
Nah, but you see the stagnant stuff, and the banner's not moving behind us, and it's blurry as shit. So I think StreamYard and Facebook are probably going back and forth. We may look at some alternate things, but that's where it comes in, guys. Our sponsors. So you guys, I'm not giving up on StreamYard. I think they have a great platform overall. I'm going to give them some feedback.
So
in
you
the
got to go
meantime.
to StreamYard as a website.
StreamYard.com is a website. They do a great platform, but in the last month they've been having issues with some of the things that have been going on with Facebook. So maybe they're having some maybe licensing. I don't know what the fuck. But patreon.com/bourbonbs podcast. You guys have made this possible. We pay a monthly fee for a lot of the services we're using. That gets us out there. So hopefully you guys can not look at us and see the choppiness and enjoy the audio. Also, Tinder Box at Easton for the Fuente Cuban Belicoso, which again I love as a cigar. I gave it a
cigar,
9.
man.
So again, the bottle I give a 9, cigar I give a 9. The pairing is not as great. Altadis USA, we're going to be lighting up a Reserva Real Romeo Julieta in the second part. So the second part is going to be the new normal. We'll see where the conversation goes. I'm excited about it. We're trying not to have a repeat, but like I've said in the last several weeks, it's very, very difficult to have, in my opinion, to have a life topic without dealing with what the fuck's going on in life right now. So Altadis USA, appreciate the support in the second weekly cigar. Also, Be a Cigar Company. I am going to set this down, grab the one I was smoking on the way home, and you guys can all frown on me relighting a cigar, but I'm going to do it anyways to see how it matches up with what I have in my glass from this barrel strength barrel pick. So, guys, thank you very much for part 1. Looking forward to part 2. This is a great, great panel right here, and we have Dustin and Nate in the audience that have access to a mic for better or worse. Hope the better. Are you playing Angry Birds? No. Dustin, is he playing Angry Birds?
Angry Birds 2.
You went to home screen.
went
You're
to
on the
home
fucking home screen.
Screen, you
Guys,
mother-
cheers. Happy Whiskey Wednesday. We'll see you in part 2. If you're listening on the live feed, stick around. We will see you in a moment.
Do you need to reset it?
No, I don't want to lose the feed. I don't know.
I would reset it. That's a shame. 9 and 9, and then you just don't think that I don't disagree with you. It's just interesting.
No, I think the pairing didn't work. If you guys have any questions for us for part 2, please throw it up there. What's that? I think it will.
Is there a cigar you think would have gone better?
I'm gonna go grab the BS Gold
I
here.
would say either lighter cigar would go better with the stronger whiskey, or lighter whiskey would go better with the cigar.
Right.
What do you think? Am I off?
No, I think you're on the mark there. And as far as like reloading this for part 2, I don't know. I'd have to start a whole new feed, new broadcast. I don't think I should. It's frustrating. This is 2 weeks in a row, so I'm gonna do the contact us on StreamYard because it's absolutely that case. Because I did the broadband check. Are they peeing together? Did the broadband check and it was over. It was like 20 meg up. I mean, there's no reason for it. It's absolutely StreamYard to them.
Something that you alluded to, since we're on break right now, what are some of your favorite wrappers, Steve, in terms of cigars?
Is that on?
Yeah, it's
All
on. What are some of the wrappers that just hit your palate? Like Shannon said he
Nicaraguan
likes-
for me. I like the Criollo. I love the Corojo. A good Corojo wrapper, Nicaraguan Corojo wrapper. I also like a Criollo, which is now on the BS Gold. I also like Ecuadorian Habano. I like Ecuadorian in general. I like Ecuadorian wrappers, which is probably one of the reasons I like this cigar. The silver has an Ecuadorian. It's got a Rosado Oscura wrapper on it. And I think that it's great wrapper.
Yeah, I think one of my favorites is Habano.
And
And
Ecuadorian Habano.
Ecuadorian
Again, I
Habano,
like that.
Sumatra. I really enjoy Sumatra wrapper as well. I really enjoy Ecuadorian Connecticut. Just the creaminess of the smoke itself, like the texture.
But I like True Connecticut better. Ian says Cameroon. Nate, you can answer that first.
Yeah, I'm the only person at the Tinder Box that likes Cameroon. Really, Cameroon.
Not a huge fan myself.
Cameroon's
I
a hit or
enjoy
miss.
some blends with it, but I'm not a huge fan of Cameroon.
Yeah, Cameroon's hit or miss.
Well, as much as I love cigars, I'm still learning all the different wrappers. Like, there's so many cigars that I love, but I couldn't tell you like the wrapper or the stuff like that. So that's where I need to start honing in.
Steve, brought up Corojo, Nicaraguan Corojo. I love CLE, like Christian, his Corojo tobacco in Honduras, and it's weird. I actually like the CLE Corojo more than the Aroa Corojo.
Now,
I like the flavor on it better.
That cigar you surprised me with last week,
Oh yeah,
that was fucking phenomenal.
yeah,
Yeah.
So it was the since Altadis is a sponsor, it was the H. Upman by AJ, but it was the 2009 limited edition, is what the secondary band says. And so, really, the big difference between it and the regular Upman by AJ is that wrapper.
Oh, okay.
It's the same blend, same cigar, but it's a different wrapper. And it's if you notice, it's a little bit darker. So it's probably been it's probably either fermented a little bit longer, or it's a higher priming.
Okay.
And that higher priming is partially what would make it a little bit more limited. But now that's when the Tinder Box originally carried that cigar, it was a limited production, and now it's a little bit more regular production of a cigar. But I think it only comes in that one size, the Magnum 660.
Dude, I lit that bad boy up, and from the first 2 puffs, I was like, "Oh shit, this is different." Like I could really notice the difference in what I was smoking.
Yeah, I was fortunate enough to do a tasting seminar with Jose Blanco, who at the time was working for Ernesto Perez Carrillo, and it was everyone got a Toro cigar, and it had different wrappers on the cigar, and each wrapper was only about an inch and a half, and the tricky thing with that is you got to blend in terms of the filler and binder. You got to blend a cigar that's going to be consistent, but then you're going to notice the flavor change with each of those wrappers. And so, like, one of the wrappers was a Connecticut, one was a Sumatra, and then there were a couple other ones. And I was actually able to guess 2 out of the 4 correctly. When I guessed the Sumatra,
That's better than your whiskey tasting.
Thank you. It is. Thanks, Dustin. When it came to the Sumatra, I was actually able to pinpoint the Sumatra before my cigar had even burned to the Sumatra. Like, I hadn't even tasted it yet. I could tell just by the color of that wrapper on that cigar that it was a Sumatra wrapper.
Damn.
But like with Habanos and Corojos, I kind of get a little bit of a sweetness and nuttiness to it, so almost like an almond flavor and a little sweetness to it. Oh boy, I really enjoy those.
Look at this. See the smoothness of that?
Yeah, what's up with that?
That's what I'm saying. I think it's StreamYard. It's not the feed from the video.
I'm not trying to be a dick. Are people bitching?
No. I just think that we've got lower viewers because it's like when you want to like tune into a TV show. You guys know how it is. You guys out there, we're about to get into part 2. You guys know how it is. I got a new TV in there, and it's like I'm messing with the settings. I'm annoying Liz sometimes when I go from like one show to another. I'm on YouTube TV. It's supposed to be like 720p. I got a 4K TV. It's supposed to have good ratings on like upscaling, blah blah blah. When it's on the Dolby Atmos, whatever bullshit, looks amazing. When it's on certain feeds, it looks amazing, and the other ones, it's like, well, why is that digitized? And I'm on the settings trying to like fuck, because you know what I mean. So you look at this, you tune in, and it's choppy. That's one thing. You know, if it's digitized, it's one thing. But you know, whatever. Hopefully, you guys share it and stand. You know,
You still doing the YouTube?
we'll figure it out. Yeah, YouTube. I think someone said that it's not bad. If you want to tune into YouTube, check it out on there. That'd be interesting. Yeah, check it out on YouTube because someone said that there's no problem with YouTube last week, if I remember correctly.
The audio sounds good every week.
Yeah, the audio. Guys, check it out. If you got someone that doesn't have the opportunity to follow us on Facebook or watch the video,
On IG Live?
no, it's not on IG Live. But I will say that if you guys are out there driving and you only watch a little bit of the podcast on Wednesdays, this is a great time to throw it out there that I've got some listeners like Spencer.
Do it.
It's not that fancy. But like Spencer, he's driving around for his job and he listens to the audio, and I think I've really enjoyed the flow. I think that we actually have a way of, and Ian Anderson, who's our newest patron, he says, well, you are battling the World Series. Is it really?
What's the score in the World Series?
What is the score? Ian, give us an update on the score here. Well, I'll be contacting. I'm going to be contacting StreamYard. We'll try to sort this out for you guys next week. I hope you guys can. Rays are up 1-0. Ricky Rodriguez will be
I've
happy.
been a Rays fan till I die, as always. You know,
Till you die.
unless the Indians or any
Since
other
they were-
teams playing. Yeah. just.
All right. This is the time. So we've lost some viewers. I think the choppiness is part of it. Guys, I'm going to ask you guys that are listening and watching live. I want you to share this. If not, we'll share it. We'll push it afterwards. But I'm not happy with the video feed. I'm with you on that. I don't like the fact that this technology that we have had success with as far as StreamYard is not giving us a whole lot of good video. But hopefully the audio is still coming through. Give us a thumbs up, thumbs down on the audio. But we'll that's what it's all about. It's what we're saying. So we're not that handsome.
Looks like we're in Afghanistan. Just giving everything's all right over here. We can still celebrate.
Ryan Altizer, thank you. He says, driving and listening now, brother. Thanks for making the last hour go by quickly. You're absolutely welcome. Thank you for doing that.
He's not gonna like the second hour. I'll tell you that.
Oh, Ryan will probably like the second hour. Let's get into it, man. Let's not delay anything here. Let's get back into it. Sorry about the video, but fuck it. What are you gonna do?
Let's go bowling.
I don't know what that means.
Big Lebowski. Thank you.
Hey now, he says. Welcome back to the Bourbon and BS podcast. This is episode 141. Believe it or not, part 2. Shannon, leave the mic alone. Don't hit it. Shannon Chapman's in the garage. Thank you for joining us. Spencer Lappin. Welcome back.
Thanks, man. It's
this is your 18th episode.
It's highlight of the week, my friend.
This is a highlight of your month sometimes, I feel like. And you have a lot of highlights.
This is definitely something I look forward to, man. So thank you for having me, man.
You've been a big supporter since the beginning, which is great. And you got a lot of good things going on, as does Shannon. Very busy, but it's funny how this has been... At points, I've had to remind myself this should be the highlight of my week. You know what I mean? Because it's something that there's preparation for. There's things that we need to get everything lined up. But it never fails that I enjoy the conversation. I enjoy the company. I enjoy... I might enjoy a quiet Wednesday night here and there.
Have you had a quiet Wednesday
3
night?
years ago. 3 years ago. There was a snow emergency a year ago. That was the snow emergency.
Yeah, even Sean still showed up, right?
I was sitting there. I ordered pizza, and I thanked the guy, tipped him extra because he got out in that snow emergency. And then Sean shows up with his hood up, and he's like knocking on my door. He's like, oh, shit, I forgot to text you. Yeah, no one's here. He's like, yeah, I was wondering what was going on. The garage was closed. I just figured it was cold. I'm like, yeah, I'm not going to hang out tonight, though.
So what do?
I got a large pie waiting for me, bro.
You walk back home. I want to thank our sponsors for this podcast. And first and foremost, we have it up on the screen. The only thing that's clear on the screen right now. So patreon.com/bourbonbs podcast. I'm wearing the shirt. You can't read it because the video feed sucks right now. Pour one more, light up another. We'll figure this out together.
To be fair, your arms still look good in the screen.
Thank you.
You're welcome.
Thank you.
A couple push-ups during the break really help.
No,
40 never looks so good.
Did you say 49?
40 never looks so good.
40 never looks so good.
140.
Thank you. I agree. Yeah. Patreon.com/bourbonbs podcast. You guys can get a t-shirt. You can help support us. You can help us find a new platform if we need to, it seems, other than StreamYard. So we appreciate that. It's not an upgrade of the internet that we know of. Anyways, regardless, guys, thank you for the support. Not only listening, liking, sharing, reviewing, all that good stuff on all the platforms, but it does help. It helps us do this every week. Makes it easier. Makes life easier sometimes with Liz as well when she has to put up with hosting, in a sense, a bunch of people in the garage every Wednesday night.
She does put up with our shit, so it's thank you, Liz.
Truth. So, yeah, in Tinder Box at Easton, we smoked the Fuente Cuban Belicoso Sungrown. Great cigar. Spencer was talking to me off camera that, absolutely loves the cigar.
I do, and I'm the pairings are tough just in general, but I do think that cigar stood out on its own very well. I think the bourbon stands out on its own very well, but I think just bourbon and cigars is just a tough thing to pair together. I think bourbon sometimes kills the palate, and I just think it's difficult to combine the two. I really do, especially something at 127.
Yes, and I will say to anyone who's asking at the end of part one,
Is there?
BS Gold.
Apologize on the special. Was there a special for the Fuentes?
No, so the Fuente is not. This is just something that is featured by Tinder Box at Easton for the podcast.
It's a good cigar, bro. It's a good cigar.
I agree.
So before we go down the rabbit hole, have you had a chance to drink the bourbon and your gold?
I have. That's what I was going to mention. So another one of our sponsors, BS Cigar Company, which is featured through the Tinder Box at Easton as well. It's pairing up a lot better.
Yeah,
Really?
But it's medium. It's not as
full flavor, full bodied.
it's full flavored, but in a different way. It's not as overpowering. That was the whole design of the blend. There's a lot of good cigars out there that are in that medium, lighter side that pair with a lot of different whiskeys. And I will say it pairs better than the Fuente Cuban Belicoso Sungrown. However, again, this is something that it's a great cigar. Yeah, Monty White would be a good one. That'd be all right. Yeah,
I've
absolutely.
had those a couple
I think
times
it's
on those.
yeah, exactly. It's a great cigar. Also, Altadis USA, we're talking about it. Saw Shannon, you lit up the Romeo Julieta, the Reserva Real. Thank you very much. Altadis USA, Romeo Julieta, Josh
Thank you,
Bentley.
Altadis.
Guys, check them out.
Sexy AF.
It's all available through Tinderbox at Easton. This is a very much a synergy as far as our sponsors. But if you're not in the Columbus area, you don't want to wait on a shipment from Tinderbox at Easton. This is something that check out the Romeo Julieta, Reserva Real, wherever you're at. This is an overlooked cigar anymore, just like the Fuente, because it's been out for a while. Sometimes you don't have to fix something that's not broken, and you also don't have to always look for something new, which is also a segue into this week's Tinderbox at Easton special, which will be What's New sampler. That'll be coming out hopefully Friday. Check it out. Yeah.
Asking for a friend.
Well, we're waiting on one of the new cigars. Trying to release it today, and we're like, hey, we should hold out for one more cigar that's coming. So hopefully Friday. Jonathan Herron, if you're listening, which I don't see you on here, you need to get us those diesels real quick. Maybe. All right, so tonight, ladies and gentlemen, much the same, yet very different. The new normal. I was talking to Spencer and Shannon, and when we deciphered what I thought a combination of some of the thoughts, and Spencer, you read what Shannon said, and you said the new normal on yours, and we looked at both of those texts, and as Nate says, he hates that term.
You hate the new normal as a term?
Hang on, let me finish.
I didn't come up with it. That's right.
No, so
Don't
I
back
look at this,
down now.
guys. I look at this, the new normal. This is something. So like Shannon's like, he had the idea of how's your mental, right? So that's how's your mental. Yeah, how is your mental? Jesus Christ, this is something that when we're looking at this day and age, and I'm trying not to get into it, we get into a life topic. So you can do the cigar, you can do the whiskey, you can do all that stuff. The second part of this podcast, 2 years, almost 3 years ago now, it was, what's the life topic? Things were easier, I feel like, back then. It was not easier. It was just not in your face. It's an election year here in the U.S.
Not as many obstacles.
In your face, yeah. There's not as many obstacles in your face. So this is where so the new normal, the term is what? Spencer, you came up with the term for not up with the term. I don't think, unless you did. You should have coined that and made some T-shirts.
Copyright, yeah.
Copyright.
Yeah. What do you think about new normal? What are we talking about?
The reason I wanted to go with, I shouldn't say the reason I wanted to go with, but I listened to the past two podcasts, which is 6 hours of listening to, and I listened to it in the car, and
On 2 time.
on 2 times.
So you're looking at 4 hours.
That's an hour and a
3
half
hours.
of listening to you, listening to Nate, listening to the gun guy a couple weeks ago, listening to Dustin, and I had the feeling that
Nate was on last week.
Nate was on last week, and it was a fantastic podcast. And what was the gentleman's name who did the guns a couple weeks ago?
Vinny.
who Shannon actually has a new client now here.
Yes,
in Ohio.
sir. I got his mullet battle ready.
So Vinny with the guns has his mullet ready, which we can
100%.
only thank one person for. I just want to just
You
kind of
thank someone for a mullet?
Thank your local barber.
he paid for it. Thank you, local barber.
He paid for it.
The reason I wanted to do this was because I had the sense that I shouldn't say you, because
Who's you?
you is us. You is the world is battling against what's going on today.
It's a y'all.
Y'all, we, us, everybody is battling. I get the sense that everyone's waiting for, like you'd mentioned, there's a climax coming. It's almost like getting.
Yeah, but like I said last week, it's not.
Right, but
Right? It's not gonna
last
change.
week's topic, and I'm not denigrating the topic, and I'm just sensing where the podcast was going. And again, I was listening on audio, not on visual, so I didn't get to see what was going on. But I got the sense that it was succumbing to certain situations, and the fact that we need a laugh. There was not much humor involved in the podcast, and that's not that to
My
say it wasn't
fault.
a serious topic.
My
It
fault.
was just I felt like you guys were going down a rabbit hole of succumbing to what's going on today, and everyone is succumbing to what's going on and hoping that on November 3rd, whichever way that you vote, and it's probably not going to be over November 3rd, probably December, whatever, but that's going to be the climax of everything that's going on, and all your problems are going to be solved, or your problems are just going to escalate depending on where you're going. And so the reason I wanted to do the new normal is because I don't, when you get married, and Dustin's getting married here at some point next year, I've been married, Steve's been married, Shannon's married, Nate's married.
Don't say it like it's something you just do on a weekend.
Well, that's where I'm going with this, is I feel like a lot of,
Jesus Christ.
on the marriage point,
Typically, you do it on a weekend, by the way.
some people, and I'm not saying anybody in this room that we're in, views the wedding as the climax of a relationship, and my
that's
point
good.
my
Good-
point being is
good
it's
point.
not the climax, it's the beginning. So wherever the election goes, wherever your political feelings go one way or another, that's not going to solve your problems of today.
No.
So when it goes one way, or whether it goes the way that you disagree with, that's not going to solve today's problems. It's not going to solve tomorrow's problems. So this is a situation that we're in right now. We all know we're in it. I think it's important to realize that we are in something.
All right, so Spencer, let
Yeah.
me kind of interject, and
Sure.
also, Ian Anderson says, "Hey, wintertime is cuff up time," which is
What does that mean?
cuff up is relationship terms when people actually they're kind of back. Ian, if you want to chime in on the feed, but to my understanding, cuffing season is
Cuff up or cuff up?
cuffing.
Cuff.
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 CK, hard CK? Ian?
Cuffing is when you are like trying to lock down someone for the winter in the dating world, because for the holidays, because you don't want to be alone during the cold season, and
You want that extra meal.
you want that extra warmth.
Yeah.
All right, Spencer, what is your Let's frame it, man. You came up with this.
Sure.
What is your new normal? Where are we at? Right. So March was 8 months ago. Are we November yet? No, 8 months ago.
8 months. So we've
Let's
been
call
in
it
the-
eight. Let's call it eight,
Let's
though.
call it
Like,
7, 8 months. 7, 8 months since this is what
7.5, 8.
we none of us, we all, at least our generation, has had a pretty easy ride through our life. I know we've all had personal demons and personal struggles and things like that, but some people have had to do more sacrifice than others. But in general, we've had a pretty easy ride in general. We haven't had to sacrifice much as a population. I'm just saying the population 25 to 45 years old. We haven't had real struggles. We've had some financial, 2008, we've had recessions, we've had elections, we've had some things, but we've never had to sacrifice much in our generation.
So at this table, right? So we had 9/11 happen,
Which
but that was for me. It was my early 20s, so I was just coming out of college. I was in college, but
I was in college as well.
So I was coming out of college and everything like that. But it was something that in my adult life I had a bit of a national, international crisis, right? So different. I didn't care for the fact that some people started posting and trying to compare what's going on today in this day and age with 9/11. Totally different.
Sure.
But go on. That like in our generation, I think that
In our
was probably the
generation, there was
biggest
a-
impact on our daily life was 9/11.
Right. And the biggest sacrifice that 98% of Americans had to do was we had to be more aware that we had a possible enemy out there, which we never really had to worry about. You know, we never had to worry about the Cold War, things like that. There was a enemy out there that we had to worry about, and our biggest sacrifice was it really changed the way when we were flying, how we had to deal with TSA and things like that. We had to take off our shoes. We had to do things like that.
It turned into an annoyance.
It turned into oh my God, we could die on an airplane that we have to, oh my God, I'm so upset that we have to take off our shoes.
Why can't I take this bottle of shampoo?
Why can't I take this bottle of shampoo? Why do I have to get rid of this pocket knife? Things like that.
Oh, you
And
shouldn't
this
have
is
that.
this is a true test of our character. And whether or not you want to believe that this is a test of our character or not, this is do you get better through the situation? Do we get worse through the situation? Are we blaming others? Do we make our personal relations
All
better?
right, so what's your new normal? Where are you at with this? Because I think that you've been we actually, Spencer, you and I, we met up for
Steaks.
Steaks. You supported the shop a couple times,
Sure.
right? You know what I mean, a handful of times. And I remember the time where I came out to bring your cigars out into the parking lot, and I had a mask on, and
So
you
I-
had a mask
I had a
on, and we
mask on.
both looked at each other and we're like, well, we don't really need to do this, but we do, because we don't know. But that was that May?
April, May, something along those
Yeah,
lines.
it was new. It was really new. It was very unknown, and even we had our own conversation.
Sure.
But what's your new normal? So now, fast forward, got through the summer. For you said in part one that you sell cabinets, high-end cabinets, and among other things, but mainly cabinets, and it's part of the family business. We've had you on before. It's
Sure.
the Lappin Group, which always blown away by what you guys do, and I'm pissed off I can't afford it sometimes. There's no friends discount because you guys are integrity.
It's full
involved.
retail plus 50%. You know that.
That's the friends and family discount.
That is friends and family.
If I didn't know, you'd be cheaper.
you
Like,
don't get-
God damn it,
you don't
man.
you don't get paid for pain and suffering, but we charge for it.
Patreon.com/Bourbon and BS Podcast.
Get a free T-shirt with every
slash
picture.
Lappin. slash
.com.
Lappin Group. No, but I mean, like, what is it? Like,
So-
you're a
so
travel.
the
Like,
new-
let's
okay.
nail it down. Let's take
So-
it back. Let's peel it back. You are a traveling
Traveling
salesperson.
salesman.
You are you have vendors that you represent, and also you sell to clients, like directly. Correct?
So majority of my business is selling to wholesalers. So if you wanted a new kitchen, we would sell to the people that you would buy your kitchen from. So I would not sell directly to you. I would sell from the people that you
Hence
buy.
that's why it costs more for me.
Right. So very, very similarly is I sell to the people that would sell to you. Very similarly to the sales reps that call on you.
Right.
Is that they would sell to you. So my new normal, the reason why I mentioned the mask earlier is because you got your keys, you got your wallet, you got your phone.
Yeah.
You personally have your lighter and your cutter. And then I mentioned that you have your face mask. So that is my new normal. Anytime I go into a meeting, I have my face mask on, no handshake. They're 6 feet
You
away
go to
from
pound? Like a fist pound?
At first, it was a fist pound. Now it's no fist pound.
Now it's like a Wayne and Garth, like you're Garth. And
Yeah.
you just
Now
go like,
it's
hi.
now it's an air fist pound.
Ugh.
Well, I don't make the rules, buddy, but that's just
It's not a rule. I don't.
Yeah, so that is the interaction that as a salesperson I have now where it's I'm
just
sitting
wave.
at one point of the table, they're sitting 6 feet away, they're wearing a mask, I'm wearing a mask, and you're not reading people on their facial expressions, you're reading people in sales based upon their eyes. Sometimes there's a plexiglass in front of me.
Jesus
Sometimes there's not a
Christ.
plexiglass in front of me. That's my world. The other world is the world.
Can I comment on this
Sure.
real quick? So right now, and I don't think maybe there are some wholesalers that you're selling to, but if they watch this right now, do you think there's any clients out there, and I'm not trying to put you on the spot too hard, but do you think there's any clients out there that would look at you sitting at this table,
Yes.
Shannon's to your left, me to your right, and they're like, what the fuck's this guy doing? I don't want him in my office.
I wouldn't say as far as my clients personally, because I've had clients who have called me and say, hey, we got COVID and things like that. I'm saying that the majority of my friends and family would look at this, and 3 people that are not sitting 6 feet away in this reality
We
are
use the
saying,
wide angle on this, so
right, are saying that is now
They can't see
how
us
a
anyways.
typical interaction takes place for 50% of America. I think that there's
but we're under 10 feet or
Right.
10 people rather.
right, but I think that has gone out the window pretty quickly. I think
Yeah.
any interaction one-on-one, and again, you had mentioned it last week or a couple weeks ago that, hey, it's not just, hey, do you know that person?
Yeah.
That's not going to
100%.
define. I know
it's
Steve,
absolute
I know
bullshit, right?
Shannon, I know Dustin, I know Nate.
They wouldn't put me in this
Right,
situation.
but that's not
They're
saying
healthy.
I know where they've been and things like that.
Well, it's also not how viruses work.
Sure, but I'm just saying aesthetically, maybe not fact wise, but aesthetically, it's just not a good look. Just to be 100% fair, and I'm not saying it's right or wrong. I'm just
Do
saying
they know
that-
about that weekend in Cabo?
So we did one weekend in Cabo, and again, I'm going to use the hot tub excuse again here.
Is that not?
You can't get pregnant. You
probably
can't
say
get
that.
COVID
You
in
can't
the
say
hot
that.
tub. I
Nate's
just
like, what?
I just think that there's, and I'm aware of this, is that half of my friends, family, girlfriend, all that type of good stuff,
Right.
are working from home. They are not even.
No, you're right.
They're
Well-
not going to CVS and things like that without all the proper precautions. There is 50% of the population, at least of the people that I know, that are staying at home. They're not going to work. They're not working at a barbershop. They're not working at the Tinder Box. They're not
We have a
going
small
to see
staff.
customers. And they are working at home in isolation or with their roommates or their family. And there are 2 different normals out
So
there.
how are you?
Absolutely.
Wait, before Shannon, I'm sorry. Like before you, it's funny. 2 points, real quick. One, you mentioned like going to CVS and stuff like that, right? So when this started, I have to go in every month to get my prescription because it's not something that you can get delivered.
Okay.
And the pharmacist, and she's a sweetheart.
Saint.
I don't know her that well. She's a sweetheart. She might be a saint. She's probably a saint. Just had a baby. Anyways, she was giving me shit back in like June
Okay.
because or whenever April, May, June, somewhere in there that in Ohio you didn't have to wear a mask going into places, right? It was recommended, but it wasn't required.
Not the sign on the door.
Correct.
Now everywhere you go, there's a
Before the
sign on
mask
door.
mandate, I think that was in June. Anyways, I went in there and she's like, "Where's your mask?" Now I go in there every month and I see her, and it was so we're in October. I got to go back in there next week or so. I want to say it was probably August or September, and she literally looked at me. She's like, "Oh, now you're wearing a mask? Like, isn't this ridiculous?" Like, she's medically trained, obviously being a pharmacist, going through that, but even she giving flu shots and all that shit, like she's saying, really?
Well,
And again, I'm not trying to
She's
push
wearing
that.
a mask while she's doing this, though.
Yeah, we all are. Like
Right.
now it's you're just
Now,
being like,
now
this
it's
is what we do.
Now
This
it's
is
normal.
this is how
what
this
we
is
do.
the
This
new
is-
normal.
This is how we go to CVS now.
But the other aspect of it is that like when you say your new normal, Spencer, you are or you are not comfortable being here tonight, sitting this close to Shannon. I'm not going to bring myself up, but it's mostly Shannon. That are you comfortable sitting next to him?
So I think the elephant in the room here is that of this group in the garage.
And we're open air. We got the garage doors open.
Sure, this group in the garage, and I just want to drink something. I was going to say not to go political, but the group in the garage is. I feel like most people in this garage are not personally fearful that this will kill us.
Correct. Yes.
Okay. It just bottom line, there was a time when everything started that people were worried. I was worried that if you touch that door handle, if you get that Amazon package, if you touch that without sanitizing, there was a time,
Yes.
March, April, May, where if you touch that Amazon package,
And you're pushing June, July in that
right,
too.
there
Yeah,
was
absolutely.
a thought that if you touch that package, that will kill you. What we have done overall is trying to realize, all right, let's try to make sure that if we get it, we can fight it. But in my case, I have elderly grandparents. I have elderly parents. I have customers. I have a girlfriend who's scared shitless of this for...
Is she?
She is. For her own personal reasons and for her being around her family reasons, that she and people are worried about that if I get it, I don't want to be a burden on society, or I don't want to have the guilt attributed to if I get it, I can kill my parents.
You don't. Yeah. You don't want to.
You don't want to be the guy.
You don't be wrong. No one wants to be wrong,
No one
right?
wants
So
to be
you
wrong,
can be
no one-
happy
right.
about, like, you can be not happy about it. You can be confident about how you perceive this stuff, but at the same time, you don't want to be wrong. None of us want to be wrong ever.
No one wants to be wrong. No one wants to be.
But where do you stop living?
So that's where it is. So do you take precautions to stop seeing the people in your life? And most people have. Most people haven't seen their parents. I have not hugged my parents during this whole thing. I have not hugged my grandparents and people that are at higher risk. I have not been around, but I am well aware of the fact that if you are putting yourself in more situations, that not necessarily for me getting sick, where it could just be the flu, or it could be something, beyond the flu, or a cold or sniffles or asymptomatic or anything like that, because of the uncertainty of everything that's going on, I'm trying to take less risks, not from necessarily myself, but to protect the people around me. And that's a unique thing that our generation has never had to deal with by, not only do I have to worry about me getting sick, I got to worry about not getting other people sick.
I guess I look at it a little different since I'm in the barber industry now. I'm hands-on every day with all these people.
Is this your?
This is my buddy B Penn, Brian Penn, Label Me Lecter. What's
Brian.
up, big dog?
Welcome to the garage.
Let's say it haircut, dude.
Wait,
fresh.
Who did it? Wait, did he do that?
No, I haven't cut him.
Oh, come on, man.
Not in a hot minute, but
All right. All right.
I was gonna say I can do that.
Yeah. I got a guy.
I can do it for half price.
I got a guy.
Tell you that right now. I do my own hair.
I'll do it for free.
You look good. All
I'll do
right,
like
go
a-
go
I'll
ahead,
do
Shannon.
like
I'm
a
sorry. I
Southern
just
part, man.
like
Look good.
no, just
we had an unknown gentleman walking up the garage and just
He
waving.
was in the Jeep.
He was in the Jeep, right?
But
I'm
being
not
in this
exhausted.
profession that I'm hands-on with all these people, and I hear the stories all the time, and there's people that come in and they're scared to death. They won't take their mask off. We love to give people the option at this point.
You have to, right?
So in 90%, we'll take the mask off. People are wore out. Now, people take precautions. I'm like with you, with my grandparents. I don't go to the house. I miss them dearly. They raised me. I just have phone conversations with them, but I think we need to protect the older generation 100%, but they're even wore out with this right now. Like, we have senior citizens come to get their haircuts. They don't give two shits about this virus.
Isn't that funny? We have that same thing in the cigar shop.
100%.
So we have men and women that are easily 70 plus.
Yeah.
I'm not justifying any of this stuff. I'm just saying that they come into the cigar shop and they're like, oh, you don't have to put that on for me. I'm like, I'm not even going to get into that.
Right.
I'm
But
literally
but
saying,
you've
like,
had the comments of people that have come in without it that you've had to politely say.
So I'm looking at it from business standpoint, like the barbershop, like you with Lappin Group, right? So you go in, if you had a client that was like, hey, you don't need to put that in, we can just have this. When I refinanced my mortgage, it was the same thing. I was sitting, like, I went into this small building, never met these people, and the same thing, right? So I went into this small building, and I had a mask on because that's what you have to do, right? And I sat down at the table, and I literally kept mine on, and the guy walked in, and he's like, probably in his 40s, 50s, something like that. And he's like, "Oh yeah, like you don't need to wear that." I was like, "Yeah, okay." So I took mine off, and he didn't have one on. He's like, "Are you okay if I don't have one?" I'm like, "Yeah, I don't care." I'm not gonna say the name of the company. I don't want to get anyone in trouble, but
it's a weird level of trust. That you're
super
getting,
weird, right?
Because people, still
now it's a belief system.
So it's
It
a
is.
belief system, and I would say less than 10% of people that I deal with will still shake out their hand because it's almost like if you put your hand out to shake their hand versus just gave fist bumps when you kind of walk in. It's a different level of trust to say, hey, if you shake my hand, I believe that you don't have something that we can't see, the boogeyman.
I'll give you.
I believe that you don't have something we can see. It's a mutual level of trust, and you almost feel guilty that if you say, hey, man, just instead of the handshake, just a pound.
Prime example. So at the shop, we had this 92-year-old World War II veteran come in. He had his mask on, right? This is at a different shop I was working at.
Right.
He walks in, he's slow rolling up to my chair. He's got his World War II hat on. And we're like, "Sir, it's totally up to you if you want to wear your mask or not, blah, blah, blah." He looks at me. He's like, like he went off on this tangent like, "Fuck this virus. I've been through more shit in my life than than anyone else had ever seen." Like, he's fought a world battle that we will never know about. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
And he just didn't care. He's like, "I lived a life." And like the gambit runs, and then you'll have a 25-year-old come in that won't take his mask off to save his life.
I think there's a misconception, and it's the rules have changed. The rules are constantly changing.
Oh
for
yeah,
this,
that's the problem.
as far as what is. Originally, I think the concept was if you wear a mask, that is protecting you. And I think that as we've gone through this, we've realized that that's actually not what we're talking about. The whole point of a mask in the new normal is that the reason people wear a mask is not that I'm protected because I'm wearing a mask. The reason to wear a mask is I'm wearing a mask to protect you versus the other way around.
Yeah, it's
what
new,
about
new development in my opinion.
So what about all the reports of like bronchitis and strep throat and all this other stuff that's going up?
All right,
because of the mask.
Let's get out of that. Let's get out of that.
No, I don't.
I'm gonna pull up. I'm gonna pull up.
In my point, I think that it's just a.
Pull the shoot.
It's a. My whole point with the whole thing is that it's not. I'm not trying to fight it.
No.
This is just the case right now, and when things change, you can either go two ways about it. You can either fight it or be miserable, or just be like, this is the new normal, and this is the way to do business now. When you're cutting hair, I'm assuming you're wearing a mask. Maybe you are, or maybe you're not wearing gloves.
I'm wearing a mask, yeah.
And, when I get my beard trim and stuff like that, I understand someone's touching my face. I understand that type of stuff, but they're wearing a mask. And I get my temperature taken when I go in there, and it's just a whole thing. But my point is not to fight it. My point is to roll with it. And I think that the people that are going to come out of this better are the people that can adapt. I know you went through a career change. I know you've gone through a big change as far as what actually the shop does. The shop is no longer a place to hang out and smoke cigars and BS. It is now a full retail shop now. You're sending stuff. You're probably UPSing stuff a lot more. And my thing is that I'm not saying it's right. I'm not saying it's wrong. I'm saying that the people that can adjust to these changes are the people that are going to survive and advance.
Right.
And the people that are fighting this, I totally get it. I get constitutional
Great
rights.
point right
I guess
there.
if you don't agree with it, and unfortunately it has become political for whatever reason.
Oh, yeah,
But
100%.
It's election year. This
it's
is why.
election year, but this is the society now. Where we are living now is different than where we were living in February.
So switching gears a little bit,
Sure.
let's get back to
Bronchitis.
Bronco. No. Like, how's your mental? Even like everything we just talked about. It could be life. It could be the political thing. It could be your marriage. It could be
Let me
just life in
before
general.
we get back into that. Like I think that the mental is about to be off. It's already off. It's going to be.
It's already
worse
off. It's already off.
It's going to be. See, I think I said it last week. I think seasonal depression is going to be at an all new level. Right. So, did you guys see today's news?
No.
I'm not going to say the name because I can't remember it. But
Trump?
No.
Okay.
I remember Trump. There was a major pharmaceutical company today that
The OxyContin?
Yeah.
Purdue Pharmaceuticals.
Purdue Pharmaceuticals. $8+ billion.
Billion
dollars.
With a B.
Did you see that was not in the headlines that they are also dissolving that company to be taken over by a government-controlled company?
Because they can't survive by paying $8 billion?
I didn't read that far into it because the article I read was not that far into it. It actually ended.
I did not read it, but I saw the headlines, which you saw.
And I talked about that a while, like last couple of weeks, is that headlines are really easy to read.
That's why I read the headlines.
You got a great Twitter account, don't you?
14 words or less, and I'm good.
No, I'm. All right. So what I was gonna say is that with being the new normal, I think that what you guys are saying with the mask and Spencer, you're saying rolling with it. Shannon, you're talking about the barber shop. We see it in the cigar shop. What I worry about is that this stigma is gonna carry on. Like there's no the new normal. What I like about it, which is something no one says anymore.
I'm waiting to hear what you have to say.
Preach.
Go
What's
on.
going on right here?
Go on.
The new normal is there's one major good thing that I will say about this is that it shows that people, no matter what their personal interests are, whether you're worried about saving the world, saving the children, saving the whales, whatever the fuck it is, right? There's also the aspect of is that you want to continue going. You want to keep business going. You want to be able to, whether you believe this side or that side or mostly the 80% in between, is that this is where we're at.
Okay.
This is the new normal.
This is the new normal.
So the fact that the three of us are sitting at this table, so anyone watching this or listening to this, and then we've got some people in the garage that aren't wearing masks, I can respect, and I said this last week, I think it was, that about me going to that wedding,
Mm-hmm.
and my family, the fact that my family did not want to do the get-together, even outside if the weather was nice, I respect that. That holds a very close place to my heart. And I've told people that when they say, like, well, what if your mom, what if your mom comes down with COVID and dies from it? And I've said this before on the podcast. I've said this to people. I say, I'm going to be pissed no matter what my mom dies from. And if the world works correctly, not soon, hopefully 20 years from now, my mom dies before me, because I would hate for my mom to be that kind of parent that sees her kids die before them.
Oh,
That's not the way it works, but it does work that way. But my point is that I don't want to see her live the next 5 years in fear, only to come back. I'm not saying that COVID's not real. I'm saying that only to come back that this was a fucking political thing. That's the new norm. But when she texted me on Monday, she was going to bring over my that weekend for my birthday, she's like, hey,
happy birthday, by the way.
Thanks. Thank you very much.
32?
40.
Drink to that.
40 going on fucking 62 right here. There we go.
You look 40, so.
Well, the video looks like shit, so I get it.
We
yeah.
look 60 right now.
In the video, it's a young Jason Statham.
Thank you. I think. Anyways.
What do you mean you think?
So
You would kill for that.
All right. Let me show you some. Anyways.
Show you some Jason Statham.
Anyways, my mom comes over. She wants to give me a present, and it was a leaf blower.
Okay.
Okay. So
That's a solid present.
solid present.
You don't have very many leaves.
So I was going to use it in the backyard. You're right. All right. Regardless, my point is that she brought it over, and she bought it from Amazon. Fucking battery didn't work.
She tested it before she gave it to you?
No, she gave it to me. I unpackaged it, and I plug it in. So you see those batteries over there in the garage? That's for my electric mower. Go fuck you if you don't like electric mowers.
You're so green, it's ridiculous.
No, it's because it's a small yard. I just don't want to go through all the trouble of like oil changes and all. Anyways, she gets a different brand, which is fine. But I plug it in, it turns red. That's the same thing that my batteries do on the Greenworks thing, right? It's still red 2 days later. I'm like,
shit.
how long does this take to charge?
Means it's
Literally
working. Means it's working.
No, it doesn't. Actually, on the charger, it says there's got these different like signifying like lights and all that
Red
stuff.
means good.
No, solid red means battery defective. I'm like, all right, so here's my thing is if you put a battery defective signifier on your label, this is a crapshoot at this point. Like, this is part of the business model. We're going to give you some shit batteries, and if it reads red, it's shit. Anyways, long story short,
Please.
fuck off. She texted me on Monday. She's going to bring it over, the new one, right? So I walked her through all this stuff. She's annoyed because she wants to be able to call Amazon.com, which I don't think they have any operators.
Call Sean.
Call Sean. Yeah, he's going to be running around sweating his ass off. So I said, well, this is what I would do. I would just return it. You take it back to UPS. They refund you, order a new one if that's what you want to do. She's got a headache on Monday. Now it's sitting close to home.
Antenna's up.
Yeah.
Little pucker.
And so now, yeah, so this week I'm texting her. I'm like, well, let me know if you feel any
How are
worse.
you feeling?
How you feeling? With a lot more texts going back and forth.
But you talk to your mom more this week than other
My
weeks.
mom's 73 years old, and we were supposed to get together this weekend, this Sunday for my birthday. That's at the end of the month of the birthday. And
You always had a birthday month, though.
No, I never did. I'm worried about her. That's my whole thing. Now it's like, all right, now it is real. I get it. I understand this. This was a reality that I was actually embracing back in June, July.
It hit close to home.
Now it's what's going on. She's feeling better. She takes vitamin C. I say, all right, take some vitamin D. Like, I give her my advice.
Steve.
All right, you've been drinking whiskey.
Whatever it takes. I get it.
Nah.
Jesus.
All right, so on the flip side of that, all right, get away from your fucking sour joke. I was watching Spectrum today. Spectrum has their own fucking news station, right? We were watching in there, and there's literally a University of Chicago is doing a study based on what they knew way back, and they brought in the vitamin D deficiency, and they correlated it with the COVID patients they were dealing with.
They can't handle it as well.
Right. And we've been talking about this even on this small podcast for months, if you remember. And then I listened to like Joe Rogan, and I was like, I mentioned Bill Burr earlier. No, I mentioned this.
D, zinc, all that good stuff.
These are things that it was like you walk into a fucking a Kroger around Columbus, Ohio, and you can't find toilet paper, but the vitamin aisles in D3 is overflowing because no one's fucking buying anything to get them to feel better or to protect themselves. But all of a sudden they hear that they can't get toilet paper, and now they're worried about wiping their own ass, when the reality is like that's not even a symptom of this.
That was a panic.
No.
I understand that, but the point is that every day you have to take care of yourselves, and that's where it my mom being 73 years old and saying this stuff to me this week, and I
Is she feeling better?
she is feeling better.
Okay, good.
She is feeling better, and we're planning on getting together this Sunday, and my brother's mother-in-law, so my sister-in-law's mother, has a surgery coming up, and they were worried about that part of it. Like, this is all those things. But my mom also, before she wasn't feeling well, I think it was a day or two before, because I do try to talk to her more because of all this stuff. It's what do you take out of all this stuff? What is the new norm? This is my new norm. For me is that you keep trying to touch base with some people that you are possibly worried about, no matter what your beliefs are. And when she said, before she said she had a headache, I'm bored. I'm like, breaks my fucking heart.
Yeah.
Sure.
It does. She can't get together. She can't play bridge. you guys know what bridge is?
I
Yeah,
do. It's a
100%.
game that skipped a couple generations.
Do you know how to play bridge?
I think it skipped our
No.
generation. My grandparents
definitely skipped
I
this-
also don't know how to play bridge,
Yeah.
but like they are cutthroat, man. They are cutthroat
So
over a nice charcuterie board.
So, what do you think about, this whole Thanksgiving season coming up, this whole Christmas season
You
coming
don't
up?
want to know what I think about that.
Well, I kind of do.
so
Like, our family's going to get together.
so Steve, here.
How is Thanksgiving not fucking canceled in this cancel culture? That's what I want to think.
So Steve, I mean, here's the, to bring it close to home. Here's the new normal, is that we were, your lovely girlfriend invited a handful of friends to do a surprise birthday party for you.
It's awkward for
your
anyone that's not
40th.
invited.
Right.
But yeah, go ahead.
But invited a handful of people, and I happened to be invited to do a surprise cabin trip for you
You were.
for your birthday.
That's right.
The week prior, I found out that a family member of mine had COVID.
That's right.
So the new normal is it fucks up your entire week and fucks up your entire week by everyone around you.
Right.
The new normal is that we luckily were eating outside. We were eating with my 95 and 97-year-old grandparents
Jesus.
with masks.
Not with COVID.
My late 60s-year-old
Slide that whiskey away
yeah,
from him.
my late 60-year-old parents, and you are crossing your fingers.
Everyone was negative.
Everyone was negative. My sister, shouldn't say that. My family member was
Too late. It's
positive.
live. You
All
can't
the
see it
people
on
that
video,
she
but
was
you can
hanging
hear it.
out were positive. And the respectful thing to do is get tested. You get tested, and then you just avoid people for a freaking week. And that's just what you do.
You do.
And you get the test. I happen to get the quick 15-minute test. Has anyone gotten the test? Anyone in the audience get a test? Okay,
I have
so
not been
the
tested.
test is
Hang on.
he got it.
Oh, 100% negative.
Okay, so you get the test, and
Thumbs
then
down.
whether you're waiting.
I was like, Shannon, you invite this guy?
Yeah, buddy.
So whether you're waiting 15 minutes, which we're very fortunate in Columbus to have, or you're waiting 2 to 5 days to get, they stick the thing up your nose. It's not that bad, just for the record. It's really not. It feels
Did
like
they do it? Because I heard another one where you go to like CVS, you go to the drive-through, and
I went
you
to-
wait in your car, and they give you a kit, and it's like
I did that.
it's bullshit, right?
Very quick. It's
So
like,
y-
it's like a bigger. It's
But
like
you
a thick-
did your own test,
It's like a thicker Q-tip. Stick it up there, spin it. Stick it up there, spin it. Drop it in the box.
and your medical education was how many years? Right.
Zero.
So you can definitely do it. You can do it on your own. I happen to go to urgent care, and you schedule the test, and you pick a time, and they're
Right.
very amiable with the time, and you can pick whatever time, and they stick up your nose. Here's the funny part about it, I guess. So they stick up your nose. It tickles a little bit. It does not hurt. It doesn't tickle your brain or anything like that. or anything like that. Tickles your nose. Makes your eyes water a little bit. I happen, like just as you would if you feel like a feather is tickling your nose,
Sneeze.
it feels like you happen to sneeze.
Yeah.
So I start sneezing. My point is I asked the doctor, I go, does everyone sneeze when you get this test? They go, a lot of people do. So I'm thinking everyone's sneezing when they get this test.
That was one of the
They're
biggest. That was the biggest insults, I guess, of that test. Was that's why you had to have like these big people that were doing it early on. They had the face shields. They had the full
Sure,
body
and
suits.
the doctor
and then
was in the shield and the
they
mask
had to
and everything
bail
like that.
if you sneeze because
Right.
then they have to.
So you
to
feel it and stuff
redress,
like that,
yeah.
and you sneeze, and then in my case, I waited 15, 20 minutes. Other people can wait 2 to 3 days, and your heart is stomping during that whole time. But the goal, luckily I came back negative. But my point is, I chose not to hang out with people for a few days just in case shit. I mean, 97% is pretty damn close, but it's not 100%. So the new normal is if you're around people, if you're happen to be someone at the shop gets it, someone of your customers gets it, something like that, it's just part of the new ether. This is just what's happening. Not that I'm saying I'm worried about it for myself. I'm just saying these are the new rules to society. And again, I'm not doing it for myself that I'm worried that I'm going to have issues. I'm doing it because I want to be for the better good. I don't want to be the guy that gives it to other people, and that is just happens to be the new normal. And my point is, and I'm sure Steve, disagrees with this, is just my perception of it is these are the new rules. I know the rules, and I'm just going to roll with it. So this is what it is. It sucked for the week. It sucked for the weekend. It sucks I couldn't, celebrate my friend's birthday.
Yeah.
But for the betterment of society, these are the new rules that I'm playing by.
So I think when I think about all this, so we on that side of the coin, then you have the other side of the coin that are we trying to live this new normal? Is this like, because there's a whole nother set of people that don't want to live this new normal. You know what I mean?
Fuck them. I don't know what to tell you. I mean, like, not like fuck them in general, but like I would say not these people, but if one of the reasons why this is not slowing down is because people are not adhering to what is best for society versus what is best for, it is an inconvenience. I
Right.
had to miss work. I had to miss events. I had to miss stuff, but I think it's a me versus we thing versus I know this is not affecting me, but I want to make sure it's not affecting we type thing.
Okay. I get that.
Yeah. So again, I'm not worried about it for me personally. I know a lot of people in our generation, under 45 years old are not worried. They'll get it. It'll be a flu. But there's, a chance. Maybe it's 1%. Maybe it's 2%. That's fucking going to hurt somebody. Maybe with a vitamin D deficiency. Maybe with a blood thing. Who knows? But my whole thing is I don't I agree that the likelihood of any of us having some real issues could be an issue. But these are just the new rules. And they are very different rules than when we were on Valentine's Day. Very different rules on March. But these are the new rules of society. And it's not going to be permanent. It's not going to be forever. But I think time is speeding up.
Can I say something here?
Sure.
I think you actually are hitting on some good things, right? So I'm tired of people, and I'm not going to go full blown into the statistics, right? So there are international numbers that will show you that the influenza deaths and cases have dropped dramatically internationally as they went into
because
their
people
winter.
are wearing masks, social distancing, all that good stuff.
No, this was actually before that, right? So like in Ohio, where we are in Ohio.
I think we should go just to the new normal versus just what's.
So my point is that here's the big thing.
we've
Yeah.
had the
So
flu
if you
for our whole
social
life.
distance, yeah. Well, that's the whole thing. Is what I'm saying is that when you say that in America and you want to, if we dial into that, if you don't care about the 200,000 plus people that have died from it, well, it wasn't that long ago that there were 60,000+ people that died from influenza in America, statistically from CDC. That 2017, 2018, one of those years that no one fucking cared about because we were desensitized to that. So the new normal should be. This is maybe a long way around this, but the new normal is you should care. So I had some.
So should we have been wearing masks years ago?
Not at all. Stop fucking with people that they say they're sick. You have attendance policies for people at work, right?
Well, the American way American way is to go to work sick, right?
You're absolutely right. So that's my whole thing. So if you have meetings that day, you have interviews that day, you have a presentation that day,
It's looked
and
down
you are
upon
sick,
if you miss work because you're sick.
you not only are looked down upon, you are on your way out.
Right. I don't disagree.
So this is the new norm: is that fucking viruses are real, and we should respect it. Now, stop fucking taking advantage of it. That's also the new norm.
100%. Yeah.
In my opinion, is that you should not take advantage of it. If you don't want to go into work that day, you don't fucking say you have the stomach flu. Get the fuck over it. Like, get your ass to work. Get your shit together.
That's going to happen.
If you have the brown flu, like we might have tomorrow after drinking this whiskey.
Oh, I was trying to think where we're going with that. This cures it, though, right?
Yeah, until tomorrow morning. No, Brown. No, not at all. This is not a dig on Brown Foreman. I'm saying this is brown. This is brown liquor. My point is that
MGP at Beaver.
there's a time and a place to call off, and I gotta tell you is that if you are sick, if you're not feeling well, and you call off work, you should not feel passively aggressively. Feel like your job's in danger.
So is that a uniquely American issue that we work?
No. This is
So
everywhere.
I mean, you've traveled, you've been around the world. No, you just been to South America, Cuba, stuff like that.
Can I get that? Same thing. 86. No, I've worked only in America.
Okay,
So my point is,
most country, and one of the reasons why we're as successful as we are as a country, and as prosperous as we are as a country, is because of how hard we work, how many hours we work, and
I like that sentiment.
Okay, and other countries theoretically have a better enjoyment of life. They might not have the biggest house, they might not have the nicest car, but they've had better life experiences because of the American way is work as many hours as you can. It's frowned upon to not work 80 hours a week. Work as hard as you can for as long as you can, and that is kind of the American way.
So let me ask you this: before I get back into my point,
I know we're kind of going off here.
No.
I want to get it back because
new norm. No, that's fine. So the old norm.
Romeo and Julieta goes
Shut your
very
fucking
well.
mouth, I swear to fucking God. Go fuck yourself. I'm saying
you enjoy the whiskey. That's good. I remember my first drink.
I have refrained from going back old school before I did this podcast. I had a customer of mine actually remind me that back in the day, fully sober.
You were or they were?
Both.
Don't
lies.
No, honestly, we had a customer today. He used to work at the gym, Lifetime Fitness at Easton, and he called.
Is he jacked?
He lost a lot of weight. He's a big dude. Anyways,
So not.
he called Brian and I sir over and over again today. This guy Ben, who used to work at the front desk at Lifetime.
The nerve.
And I looked at him and I was like, "Is that everything? You want anything else?" He's like, "No, that's it, sir." I'm like, "Seriously, dude, like, get to stop calling me sir." He's like, "Oh, it's out of respect."
Sorry,
I'm
sir.
like, and I looked at him and it brought me back. This is, you want to talk about new norm? Get back to where you weren't afraid to offend people. This is where we should be, in my opinion, within a certain level of parameters.
Respect.
Well, so I said, "You son of a bitch." And he just laughed. Brian's behind me bagging up his cigars, and he laughed. And he's like, "Hey, remember that movie Roadhouse?" Ben's like,
Roadhouse.
Ben's like, probably he's 6 fucking pushing 7 foot, whatever. He's a big dude, and he's like, "Yeah, I just watched that the other night." And
Bet he did.
Brian's like, what is that line? And I just rattled off. You call me sir is like put an elevator in an outhouse. Just don't belong. So I'm looking at him, and you couldn't make Roadhouse today. I understand that, but I'm looking at it.
Well,
It's like,
all
dude,
right,
like,
R.I.P.,
just
right?
stop calling. All right, Patrick Swayze, Jesus. Can you make a point without?
No.
No, I can't. Don't touch me. For the no, don't touch me there either. That's for sure. My point is that you got to connect with people, and
I do not disagree with you that
we don't right now.
Right.
We are disconnected.
We are
we
disconnecting from people due to distance, due from the lack of handshakes, due from the lack of social interaction, due from the fact that having masks. I don't disagree with you. We've got more distance because of social distance.
Before we were gonna call our cigar company BS Cigar Company. Ooh. Believe it or not,
I've not heard this.
Believe it or not, Brian was the one that actually reined it back in.
What was it supposed to be called?
So I wanted to come out with a cigar that was the Gran Flor de la Yankee.
I would not have bought that cigar.
Do you know what that means?
I'm
The great flower of the Yankee, which is American, which we would have on the label GFY, which in
Go fuck yourself.
Goddamn right.
All right, I would have bought that cigar.
And then
I'll take 2.
Then we come in, and Brian started like we were gonna do this whole cigar project, and Brian was like, "All right, well, what do you think about the like Brian and Steve, we call it
I
BS,
think
and I'm
that's
like,
bold. I think that's bold.
that's yeah. Well, because a lot of people are like, oh, the bullshit cigar. I'm like, yeah. But you should have heard what we used to want to call.
You should have it in small letters.
There might be a BS GFY coming up.
Oh my god! Just like maybe like a flavored, like an acid or something.
Point is I don't know, man. The new norm. The new norm is a growth.
You've
No,
had
listen.
to adjust quicker than other people, man.
It needs to be, in my opinion. I'm of the opinion that you need to grow off the old norm. Don't negate the old norm. I'm tired of negating the fact that we've been dealing with this shit for a long time. This whole thing,
grand scheme of things, not really.
Well, in our generations that are living today, we've been dealing with the same shit that they're dealing with today for the entire life of my mom, who's in her 70s, right? She was born in 1947.
Good year.
And we've been dealing with this shit the whole time. Now, we've advanced in a lot of ways.
Is your mom worried about getting it?
I'm not even talking about like COVID. Yeah, she was quarantined for polio. Jesus Christ. Like she had her grandma living with them back in the fucking 50s and 60s. Like, you say what?
I said what?
Yeah. So this was a thing. People don't realize that vaccines don't work in fucking 12 months.
Right.
Like polio, Jesus Christ, it was 1980.
So what's your compromise?
My compromise is
We all want to survive. We don't want a bunch of people to die. What's your compromise?
Let's survive together. Let's look at the big picture. Let's not itemize things and push for certain hot topics, because that's what's going on right now. The new norm is it's don't offend anyone, but if you want to offend anyone, go full blow. It's
So you're talking just overall, just political correctness, everything.
the people I've talked to in depth personally. So that maybe that's my point, is that talk to people personally. Talk to them as people.
Sure. So
Get the fuck out of the generalities. Get away from the big picture, because as useful as that is, I don't care who you are, it comes down to what's your everyday life about.
Okay.
Because that is where you make true impact. That's where you make true impact on individuals that you are surrounded with, and that's how you get change.
I feel like I have one-on-one interactions. You have a lot of one interactions. Shan, you have a lot of intimate one-on-one interactions with people, and I definitely agree that on the one-on-one level, you can create your new normal, and this is just what it is. And you have your conversations with people. And you try to be safe and smart about it. I do think that obviously social media, news, all that stuff is meant to scare you. But I think that we have adjusted very well personally to the new normal. The way you interact with customers, I guarantee
you have to, right?
Yeah, there is no choice. Shan, is the way you interact with customers, I'm not talking politically, I'm just talking just with everything that's in ether, I'm sure you guys have new standards to how to treat people and stuff like that at the shop.
Absolutely. So it's like in the barber world, we're always known for taking care of like keeping our implements clean, virus control, bacteria control. So that was never a new thing for us. But more like with the mask, like I always have my mask on, clean everything. We have our conversations. Like, not a lot has changed in the barbering.
Same as it was, right?
Yeah, nothing's really changed except for the mask.
I'm sure you have like some kind of barrier in between or something like that.
So in my barbershop, in my barbershop, we have individuals. I'll call it a stall, but cubicle. So we have wall stations. We have walls up. That was already built in. It wasn't due to COVID.
Stall sounds bad.
Even at
like a bathroom, right? Stall.
But
sounds
even
like a
at my prior barber shop, when we came back from the 2-month shutdown, they took one barber chair out and they spaced everything 6 feet out.
Sure.
You know what I mean? But there was no barrier in between.
maybe some of it's more for aesthetics than actual practicality. But
Correct.
it just helps
What
with
what have you done since they said that 6 feet plus?
6 feet plus. I don't know
Yeah.
that.
So they actually came out in the last couple of weeks. They said that
That's garbage. Sorry. I mean,
not
that's my
getting
own
into that.
personal.
I'm saying that the CDC, the public response is that the virus can go beyond 6 feet.
Once again, they're moving the poles
not-
there. No,
You
I
know-
get you there.
You know where I come from, but I'm
Right.
saying like this is what's happening right now. They're also trying to don't get together for Thanksgiving, don't go
Right.
to trick or treating. Like I'm saying this is this
No,
is
no,
this
I
is
know what
the
you're saying.
doctor. This is the medicine experts that are saying the scientists are saying like, and I get it. Like just
If you
social
want- if you
distance
want-
as far as you can
If you want
because
0%, this is what they're saying, but there is always a percentage.
yeah.
And
6 feet. It's not like you go 6 feet and then you go boom.
Right.
You know what I'm saying? Like
Sure.
you don't go like down to 6 feet.
But there's so many ways to go down this avenue. But in the barbershop, luckily for us, we have individual stations that are walled off. They're not to the ceiling. They're maybe 4 feet tall. But anybody that comes in, most people come in wearing their mask and they'll hang out till they come to the barber chair. Then they'll take their mask off. That's totally for them. We give them that option. And that's the way that we kind of deal with the new norm. We want to give those people the option to feel normal in a barbershop. Like, we still have our masks on. We still take our precautions and clean everything and all that good stuff. But
So what's your friend's name that came in the garage?
Brian Penn, my
So
dog.
Brian is he wants to start a podcast about lifestyle, right?
Yeah, yeah.
I like the kicks.
Those are
Yeah.
nice. Is he on? Click it.
You can say you appreciate me now.
I appreciate you a second time.
Okay.
So
Thank you.
Brian, you're looking at doing a podcast, yeah?
I'm into it. Yeah.
Yeah,
for
you're looking
sure.
at doing a lifestyle podcast.
Absolutely.
What's the lifestyle podcast you're looking at doing? What's the lifestyle, or
Well,
just in general? You got
in my personal life, I mean, I lived in the city long enough to have a pretty wide net of of
Columbus?
homies that do that do a bunch of pretty cool shit. Myself personally, I own a sneaker cleaning company. I'm in an alternative hip hop band. I'm a personal trainer. I'm deep in my faith at church. There's
Right.
a lot of topics
a lot of venues.
tons of topics. You know what I mean? I
clean
can
sneakers?
and I can talk. Yeah, I have a sneaker cleaning company
All right,
for
man.
sure.
We'll
yeah,
talk.
yeah.
I need a guy.
So I'm into so much shit, and I got a big mouth and a big heart and a big spirit. So
And why were
Why
you
not use
saying
it?
if you have a big mouth,
yeah,
Relax. Don't be going there.
it's
watch it.
it's my podcast,
You're
by the way.
absolutely-
Like you
Touche.
came in.
Touche.
It's also my fucking garage. Like go
Touche.
fuck yourselves. All right.
Touche.
Like
Coming
you
out-
came into my garage.
Coming out
Touche.
Q1 next year.
I was invited, but it's okay.
Here I am trying to like promote Brian.
If you're on,
Like,
if you're on Patreon,
hey,
that's
like,
go fuck
there's no
yourself.
one listening to this one, but like, cool. Like, you can like link back to this soundbite, 60-second Instagram thing where you first came on a podcast.
Right on.
But you've come into Shannon's shop, yeah.
Oh, for sure. Well, not the new shop, but the shop where he was cutting before. But yeah, I'm excited to
So
go. to the new one.
what makes you feel comfortable going and see Shannon? Because there was a time I know that barbers were cutting hair in garages
No doubt.
like
Their
this.
own home.
No doubt.
You know what I'm saying? Like it was, you couldn't do it or you get shut down.
Yep.
You get fined.
Yep.
So now it's like, how do we survive? And then how do you get your hair cut? And how do you support your local barber? How do you support your local business? We did it in the cigar world with Tinder Box, and we talked about it in this podcast, is that I was literally driving packages around this area.
Absolutely.
This cul-de-sac that you pulled in tonight for the first time.
Look like a drug house.
God damn, it looked like a drug house. Yeah, you're absolutely right. Like, it was, hey, I'll be home from like 2:30 to 4:30. Like, what do you want? Like, you want to pay cash? We can do that. You want to pay credit card? I'll run your credit card. Whatever is convenient for you. We're shut down, and we have not turned the lights on
Wow.
for 6 weeks
Wow.
at Easton, which is very high rent.
Fucking crazy.
So what made you feel comfortable coming in there? What's the new norm for you? You
Well,
rattled off all these. I don't even know what you do for a
He's
living.
an entrepreneur.
That's very funny that you asked that question. Quite truthfully, and to answer the question about Shannon, for me, it's knowing him personally. I wouldn't just walk in anybody's barbershop necessarily and go get a fade
Because he respects your health.
He respects himself first and foremost. You know what I mean? He's
Well
not
said, well
he's
said.
not going to put
I like
himself in a position to hurt his family or his wife or anybody else. So as long as I've known him, I know that when I walk in this shop, he's damn sure going to take care of me because he knows I have children. He knows that I have a mother. He knows that I'm a personal trainer. He can't be
So the
around clients getting them sick.
The character of people that you know.
Fuck yeah, because some people are
Well,
going
it
to make
has
horrible
something to
decisions
do
and
with
not
the
care about
cleanliness,
themselves. 100%.
right? So this is one of those things that wash your hands, all this stuff, and like that's all well and good, but I heard many people actually say that they're like, yeah, like how many people are you at a bar late night and then people are like coming out of the fucking stall, they aren't washing their hands. I'm like, I don't think you know where COVID comes from. First of all, that is gross.
Thank you.
However, just fucking clean yourself. Like, just wash your hands.
Or flu, all that stuff comes from that shit.
You know what I'm saying? Like, it doesn't come from it doesn't come from going into a urinal and not washing your hands when you leave. There are other things that come from that.
No doubt.
It's not the flu.
No doubt.
It doesn't come out of urine. Like, I'm
It
sorry.
does not.
Well,
Like, I'm not a doctor.
I think the gentleman had something to say.
Go ahead, Spencer.
Go ahead.
Where was I? Quite truthfully, but yes, it starts for me with knowing him personally, and then even branching off of that in my personal business. Like, I just went to Breckenridge for a bachelor party 2 weeks ago and came back, and before I went and trained any of my clients at the gym, I went and got a COVID test. Whether it's a BS test or whatever, that shit said negative. That's enough for me. You know
That's
what
it.
I mean? So, like, I have to take that into
You
consideration.
took the proper precaution.
100% is the best that I knew that I could have. You know
Sure.
what I mean? Whether that worked or didn't work, it said negative. I assume that I can go around my clients again. You were talking about your Tinder Box.
That's the best we can do right now.
No doubt. You were talking about
That is
you
the
were
new
talking
norm,
about
yeah.
the cigar shop, like the sneaker company. We're pick up, drop off, come to my house. We'll pick up and deliver your shoes. I mean,
Yep.
I've got people in my house all day. People probably think I'm selling crack, and I'm over there cleaning kicks for a living. You know what I mean?
Do
So,
you
like,
sell crack?
I don't.
Okay. No crack.
Don't never touched crack before.
I
Never.
feel awkward.
Because you sold crack.
So
I made it work.
So all of that to say, that's kind of the new norm for me. But it starts. Your first question, I knew him and
It
trusted
starts
him.
at home
No
with
doubt.
everybody.
No doubt.
What I liked about what you said, though, is that you trust that individual.
It's
and
personal
that
responsibility.
Well, that was the whole thing, is that family doesn't always realize, and I made fun of it for a while there, is that if you know someone, because when you go to it, right, so max of 10, right, in Ohio, max of 10 at a restaurant, right, so 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6.
But what is the reason behind the 10?
It's
So
a
that
numbers, it's a
so
numbers
that a
game.
bunch of people
No, it's a
don't get
numbers
it.
game.
What do you
No, it's
mean
a
max
numbers
of- what
game,
do you
and I
mean max
get
of
that. I
10?
get that. What I'm saying is that if you in that mindset, and I encourage that, because we have 6 people in this garage right now. And if 6,000, no, but 6 people get together, and you know Shannon knows me, I know Spencer, I know Nate, and all that stuff, and you say to Shannon, "Are these guys cool?" I know there's no scientific backing to that. However, there is
zero.
I understand
Zero.
that. No, don't. My point is that there are people in my life that I don't feel comfortable with. I don't want them to be around me right now. I don't want them to be around strangers right now. I don't want them in my garage. I don't want them in this. And it all comes back to that older people in my life. I don't want that. And so when I was at this wedding a week and a half ago, I knew these people, and I can't think of one person, because I was close enough to most of them, if not all of them.
But it's great. It's not like I mean, this is obvious. I'm not trying to go down this rabbit hole, but I feel like these conversations are had in the background, but then they're not had in public. But the reality is, it has nothing to do with whether you know someone or not. I think that's the thing with this whole thing. It has nothing to do with if you know somebody and you know them. I think it's just the whole thing's a numbers game.
It is. You're absolutely right.
And so it has nothing to do with I know you and I like you and I trust you.
I don't know if I agree with that, bro. And I only say that just as a little bit of pushback. There's some people that are a friend of mine or an acquaintance of mine, but just based off of the way that I know them, I know that they're out wilding. I know that they're out having a good time.
People that
they're wilding, or they don't have good practice.
All the above. That's kind of synonymous in my
so
opinion.
that's where I'm going with it.
Yeah.
It's just I definitely feel like there's people that are taking more risk, obviously.
Yeah.
And I feel like that there's obviously people that are taking more risk and people that are taking less risk. But I feel like just the fact that you know somebody doesn't mean that means that individual is taking more or less risk. That doesn't cure anything one way or another. Just because you feel more comfortable around somebody,
So
then
here's
you got to
the
be
new
like,
normal,
hey,
right?
how many people did you see today? Are you going to bars? Are you doing stuff? And I think everyone's smart enough to know, hey, that person's really wilding out. They're doing some different things in their life. But just the fact that you know someone, that's not the socially acceptable way to do things.
That's right.
Fair.
I look at it as like you can appreciate.
You're
that
taking
person.
calculated risk. I feel like it.
So that's a good way to put it right there.
Yeah.
And
with
I
your
think
friends
that,
and with your family, you're taking
so
calculated risk.
So here's the new norm, and I think that we can actually line it up with that. And I'm going to go into closing remarks on this one. Is the calculated risks. This is the new norm. We took a lot of things for granted for a long time. Honestly, we did. I mean, this was
Joyous things.
Yeah, I know, but like, you're right, and I'm gonna give you guys the mic here, but statistically, we've become obsessed. Where the big change, in my opinion, in 2020 is that we have been more obsessed with statistics. And that's why this was used in a political year. I'm not saying the stats are political. I'm saying that we've been more obsessed with stats. That you follow certain feeds, you follow certain news channels, you follow all this stuff. Is that when it comes down to it, is all these things. That's why when with Brian being here, and thank you for being here. Thank you for coming to the garage and feel comfortable coming in a cul-de-sac in Columbus, Ohio, randomly. We don't have street lights. I have garage lights.
Halloween lights.
There's Halloween lights across the street. They're good people. They just moved in.
You should do your house
But-
like that.
I'm not doing that.
They just moved in. They did that.
They did. All right, calm down. I'm saying is that we were desensitized, and that's what I've said to customers in the last most likely 3 months, is that the big cure is if things continue on the way they have, we will get desensitized again to this virus, because hopefully the numbers will support similar numbers to the flu. And like I said, if you throw it in my face that I'm going out to a bar right now, even with a mask on, and you say, you don't care about this. And I'm like, well, 2018, you didn't fucking care about the 60-some thousand people that died from the flu when you're out Christmas shopping and fucking putting on Christmas sweaters and going out for, these drinks at a bar with your girlfriends or guy friends and all that stuff, because we were that desensitized. We just didn't fucking care. So the new norm for me is that we actually do care about people. We take care of ourselves. And I brought that up about like the vitamin D and everything else, is that you listen to news stories of how you actually stop eating like shit, eat well, and put supplements that will provide you some supplementation to help you with, if you are put in front of the COVID-19 or any other virus, that you actually can have an immune system to battle it. Shannon, what are your closing remarks?
I don't know. I'm kind of in a different camp. I don't say I refuse to live this new normal. I do take precautions. I do take precautions with the elderly and my grandparents and all that good stuff. But I there's a point where we're starting to lose life. And
What's your new norm?
what's my new norm?
Yeah. How have you adapted to this?
I won't say I'm going along with the flow of everything, because I'm not. Like, I take my precautions, but I feel like this is my own personal view. I think a lot of things are overblown to an extent. And I feel like you said, this is a political year, and we'll see what happens next year. Who knows what's going to change, will not change, but I feel like if we start letting life slip away and we start falling into these new norm steps, we're just going to lose what makes us us. We're losing connectivity between people and social events, not these big, crazy, mass events, but people are built to be in community, and community is being taken away from us, and that part I can't get with. I mean, I understand we got to take precautions.
Says the guy that goes out and camps away from everyone else.
Well, you damn right. But I'm a social butterfly. I love being around people. I love interacting with people. I love being around people, and
Until you can get away from people.
and then I like getting away from people. That's my recharge. You know what I mean? But
Son of a bitch.
I think everybody in here is kind of in the same boat. Like, you're in the cigar shop. You know, you're always on the road doing your thing, talking with people. The human connection is a very vital thing that we all need, and I
Right.
feel like that's being broken down. And I think that's where a lot of these problems are coming from. People are so fearful of each other. From wearing masks, not wearing masks. I don't care if you wear a mask. If you feel comfortable wearing a mask, please wear it. I'm not gonna give you shit for that. But don't give me shit for not wearing one in certain situations, right? But I just feel like we're missing this human connection that's slowly being peeled away from us, and we're more caught up in arguing with each other about the mask and numbers and all this other shit. It comes down to the human connection for me, and
Yeah.
I will not give that up. I refuse to give up the human connection with anybody, mask or no mask.
So we got to find a hybrid. This is the new normal, in my opinion. And Spencer, you can disagree with me, but I think the new normal is finding that that hybrid between people that don't feel comfortable. How do we make them happy, right? So
That's
how do
where
we-
it comes
how do we get,
into-
How do we
that's
get
c-
my family, right? So how do we get people that don't want, and I think your family and your friends and your clients,
Yeah.
and Dustin, Nate, Brian, Spencer, all these people in the garage. How do we get these people that don't feel comfortable going out there? Right?
That's where
How do we get their haircut? How do we get them to feel with the everyday stuff, make them happy, and make them feel like they're part of society?
well, that's what I'm saying. Like,
Or is there a
there is
equalizer?
a hybrid. Is if you feel comfortable, if you feel comfortable wearing your mask, please do. Like,
Try again.
I don't think anybody's really beating somebody's ass for their choice.
There are certain cities that are beating each other's
Well,
ass.
yeah, but I mean, in general population, like in the middle of everybody, not the fringes. If you feel comfortable wearing a mask that makes you go out and live in life, then do it.
Will you wear a mask if I feel more comfortable? If I want you to make my head shine, and
I will wear my mask in the barbershop for you, absolutely.
there it is.
But
If you come in the cigar shop, do you wear a mask?
I do, because that's what you asked me to.
If we were going to do a podcast, and I said, hey, for the camera, you got to wear a mask, would you wear it?
If you ask me to, yes. If
There
it
it
makes
is.
you feel comfortable.
This is the new norm.
Right.
It's about respect, in my
Respect,
opinion.
100%.
So you have your personal beliefs, right? So
Absolutely.
But if you need your business, keep going. If you need businesses that you believe in, to keep going.
Correct.
And if you have friends that are doing things, if I had my family on the back porch, right, back patio, and we're having there, my mom's back there, my niece, my nephew, my brother and his family are back there. Same thing for you, Spencer, and piggyback that into your closing remarks. If I invited all you guys back here for my birthday celebration, I said, hey, here's the caveat. Right now, I need you to walk in with your mask. I don't know if you have to wear it the whole time. Play it by ear. But walk in and be prepared to wear a mask the entire time.
That's
If
where
if you want to smoke a cigar, I will give you a designated spot that is probably going to be about 20 feet away by that tree in the corner. Maybe by Sunbury Road. If you wanted to go do that, or you want to go out to the garage and smoke it out here and we're out back, it makes people feel better. Would you do it?
I would.
That's the new norm. In my opinion, that's the new norm.
Now, in my own personal, but like, I think it's silly, but because it's your house and it's what you want, I would definitely do it.
Well, I'll tell you what, my Dorothy Crane's a saint, and if you ever say different about Dorothy Crane, I swear to
I
God,
would never would. But
That'd
that's
be the last thing you do.
that's the biggest thing is like I think we're lacking respect for each other in this whole new norm.
Well, I joke about it, but that's exactly right. Is that is the respect? You know, it doesn't matter if it's a mask, doesn't matter if it's COVID. If I gave you house rules
Yeah.
that Dorothy Crane
It'd be no
is
different.
out back, and I said if we're gonna smoke a cigar, we're gonna do it out front because she didn't like it because this is why.
Here's the thing: like, if say no COVID didn't exist, and your mom was sick for whatever reason, whatever it is.
What if she's healthy?
Well, no, I'm just saying if she was
All right,
sick
go
and we
ahead.
came over and you said, "Hey, my mom is sick with this. We can't risk her getting sick from whatever, call it whatever, the flu." Everybody's got to come over and rock a mask just to keep her safe. Minus COVID. COVID
You got
doesn't
two
exist.
masks on. I know you
We
do.
would come over
I know you
and
do.
hang out with the mask on because we want to keep your mom safe and have a good time.
That's right.
It's a mutual respect thing. Thank you.
Spencer, what about you? Closing remarks. You got anything?
Yeah, I got something, but I mean, we're circling the wagons here. I mean, obviously everyone wants some mutual respect, but there's a reason why doctors, when they have a mask and they're delivering a baby, they're wearing a mask. Not because the baby's going to get them sick; it's because they wear a mask so they don't get other people sick. And I think that's the concept that either some people get or some people don't get, whether that's scientifically correct or not. That is just kind of what we as a society have determined, that you wearing a mask is a mutual respect so you don't get other people sick.
That's right.
So if your whole family was here, right now, I would probably feel, just me personally, uncomfortable being around a large group of people.
You feel judged a lot, though.
Sure, I feel judged, but it's also because this is what society is telling me to do right now, whether it's right or wrong. The downside of it
You
is,
always do the pro, though.
well, here's the downside of it is, if I don't wear a mask and I do something stupid, then I get other people sick, and I'd feel super guilty personally about getting people who can't handle it. I agree with the diet. I agree with eating, the right things. I agree with taking the right pills and stuff like that. Again, I am not personally worried about it myself, but I think it's a me versus we. And I'm just thinking that some people are worried about it's an inconvenience for themselves versus this is what's best for society as a whole. And some people can wrap their heads around it. Some people cannot. In my opinion, the new normal is, this is my new way of doing business. This is my new way of seeing my family. This is my new way of seeing my girlfriend.
Yeah.
This is my new way of seeing my friends. And me fighting against it is for me personally, it's just a selfish move of inconvenience versus holy shit, there is a super, super small percent, and I'm aware of it's 0.3%, 0.5%, whatever it is. But if I do something stupid, that's end of the days for somebody else. So what's the point of taking that risk? But my whole thing with the new normal is I don't believe that there's the people that are going to prosper and do well and come out of this better people are the people that can just, these are the new rules. I know what the new rules are and just roll with it. I don't necessarily agree with them. I don't necessarily, I'm not an epidemiologist. I don't have all the answers, but these are the best ways for me to function in today's society with, trying to make everyone okay. I know there's been flu. I know there's been cold. I know there's all this other stuff, but this is a new one. This, they're saying, is different than everything else, right or wrong. And these are just the new rules. So my whole thing is I'm going to try to make more good decisions than bad decisions. I'm going to make more, not live in fear, but just try to be smart about it. And
But
I don't
we take
feel
risk every day.
we take risk every day, but you can definitely take calculated risks. You can take less risks than other things. We're not going to concerts. We're not seeing full stadiums. We're not doing stupid shit. So we're just trying to be smart about it. So my whole thing is make more good decisions than bad decisions and try to function and not fight it. There is no point in my mind to fight it. This is what's going on. If the rules change and the goalposts switch, okay, that's fine. I'll switch it. But eat right, work out, take your right pills, all that stuff for me personally. But again, I'm not worried about me personally. I'm worried about, my friends and family around me. And I would feel super guilty if I'm the reason why someone else had a bad life experience.
Before you start, I want to give a shameless plug to Brian and Label Me Lecter. Dopest group out. Check them out.
Is that it? What?
That's
him
his
the mic real
band.
quick there, Nate, please.
Sorry, B. I had to put you on the spot.
Now I want to listen to it. Are you on iTunes?
We're on everything. Yeah, we're there. We're all there.
Live?
Yeah, go ahead.
Yeah.
All right, so what is it? Brian and what?
Label Me
Label
Lecter.
Me Lecter.
Label Me Lecter.
Yep.
Sounds sexy.
It basically, not
I'm not
really
saying
Hannibal
that.
Lecter. Basically just means call me crazy, but label me Lecter. Lecter.
What do you
Lecter.
do, man?
We're an alternative hip hop band, man. It's like
Alternative hip hop.
it's like Linkin Park meets
What is
Kendrick Lamar.
All right, so
It's a thing. I don't know what you downgrading the kid?
No, I'm
Kid,
I'm trying.
fucking 41 years old, bro.
How old are
You
you?
look great. You look way better
41.
than Steve, to be fair. Way better.
Well, I blame the
Put a
video.
Scully, I blame the
the
Scully.
video.
Put a Scully on him.
No, he's got a full head of hair.
I had to do it, man. I had
It's
to
okay.
do
I
it.
appreciate you.
It is Brian and
My name is Brian. My drummer's name is Michael, and we are a two-piece band called Label Me Lecter.
I like it.
What's the song you have at Clipper Stadium?
Champion.
Champion.
We wrote a song wrote a song called Champion. The
You on
Clipper-
Spotify and
Spotify, Apple Music,
oh man,
all that fun stuff.
we're gonna line it up.
All
when we-
that.
when
Switch
we,
up the intro music, dude.
Well, I can't afford him. I can't afford him. That's free music.
You know I had to do it.
Well, you say that now, but when your agent gets a hold of me, I gotta pull a bunch of I've seen what happened to Joe Rogan where it's Spotify. he
He's
got
had to
episodes
take down
pulled.
a few podcasts.
Whatever. New normal. You guys hit it on the head. I think that this is we're all adapting. I don't think that to Nate's point, he said he hates the term new normal, and
What would you call it?
adapting.
Okay, adapt or die.
Way of life at the moment.
I actually think I don't disagree with it as much as Nate does. I think that the new normal is something that is continuously adapting. This is always evolving, and the biggest thing that's missing to most dialects in this thing is the people involved, and I'll tell you this right now. So, like Brian being, I'm sorry to highlight you. The fact that you come in this garage, I could easily shut you down and say, "Go fuck yourself."
What? No, you wouldn't.
I wouldn't, because I'm looking at it as like this is always an always encompassing and always welcoming thing. This is the new normal should always involve everyone. This is not about the political side. This is not about the what's different now. It's always about welcoming new ideas and new fronts. It's always about that. Like, you know, Shannon, you were on this, and it was about you doing this new venture, and now you're killing it. Not because of the podcast. It helped a little bit, right? You know, locally.
Yeah.
Right? You had a couple new clients, but you're killing it, right? You know, Spencer, you're killing it because you're doing your family business, and you've learned a lot. What speaks volumes to this podcast, in my opinion, is the fact that you shouldn't be on it. You're on
for having me. You know, I buy a couple mics. I pay $5 a month for my fucking
Move this
T-shirt.
away. You can move this away.
Take the
No.
liquor away.
So good to see you guys.
Spencer and
Episode
I.
12.
No. What I'm saying is that when you talk about the term new normal, people that don't realize this, and no one in this garage realizes the fact that, Spencer, you and I have known each other for a long time,
Sure.
and it was before I was in the cigar industry.
Of course.
And we support each other for a long time. So when I hear the new normal, I translate that to the fact that a decade ago, we support each other.
Yep.
We had heart-to-hearts about your role in your family business that you were unsure about.
Yep.
And you talked to me about the moving industry that I was involved with. And as soon as I moved on to my thing, and then when you moved on to your new role in the business, that conversation continued.
Yes.
Yes or no?
Yes, of course.
So
It's the person. It's not the role.
It's
the person.
always the person. So the new normal should never bring away the person. The shit we're in right now, the new normal that I'm against is
Your ideas define you.
just ideas in general. It's like what makes you feel good from an idea standpoint. It's the new normal should encourage, because what you were saying and what we said on previous podcasts recently is that when the election happens, I am actually challenging myself in the next week to learn about my local issues. Because I got to tell you, most of you out there that are listening, whether it be the audio or the live or other video podcasts, you don't know what your local representatives represent.
No clue.
No clue.
No clue.
More importantly, everyone's like, no, fuck, I don't know. I don't know. I got to be honest. I fucking don't know. You know what I do know is that if you say, okay, I'm going to vote for the R's or the D's, get down to the judges. There's no R or D next to them. What the fuck are you voting for?
I like the last name.
Male
I
or
like the most.
female?
I vote for last name. I know.
Last name, nothing. Where the fuck is the... Where? Oh, you say Jackson.
He's not wrong, because that's how I do it. Eeny, meeny, miny, you.
We need to actually get it out there. We need to get a easy poll out there with the local.
But the judges should not be bipartisan. Obviously, they should be right.
They
down the
shouldn't,
middle.
but they are.
But
At
it
the
shouldn't,
local level, they are.
But they shouldn't. They
I
should be
understand
right
that.
down the middle. You should not have conservative or liberal judges. Not to go political. Sure, but there's no reason a judge you should label as a conservative.
They're
or
gonna
a
do
liberal.
it. We're actually making the federal judge, the Supreme Court judge. We're making that political. So this is where we're at, and
Yeah.
I got to tell you, when you talked about the new normal,
I like how you
Good
always
topic,
I
by
like
the
how
way.
you always relight your
It's a
cigar
power
during
move.
these fine. It is
Spencer.
a power move during these. You should just
Power
your thumb
move.
out there and just fucking do it.
Let's just step out. Let's just step off the camera real quick. We'll leave.
no, we don't have anything figured out, and that's what I like about this is that we have a conversation about this. Is that the new normal is figuring shit out, and what I've learned tonight from you guys out there, on the feed is there's really nothing new there. We have a good base that it's about caring. It's about caring for people. It's about respecting differences. And it's actually shocked. I'm shocked by some of the comments on the feed and from the garage is that there's a lot of moderate minds out there that
Most people are.
we all want to support each other, and when it comes down to where you're not actually talking to those people face to face, and by face to face I mean on their Twitter feed.
That's not face to face. That's literally the opposite of face
What
to
I'm
face.
saying, I'm saying when you make your most valid point on Twitter,
Not on. The most valid point is not made on Twitter.
you're absolutely right. That is my point. Is that it's not over after the presidential election,
No, it's just the beginning.
and I encourage everyone to take the challenge that I have on myself, and I will follow up on this podcast that I need to educate myself on the local representatives. This is where it gets done.
Cool.
The new normal is going to be something really, really, really nice.
It's gonna be different, but it's gonna be exciting, man.
It's going to be okay.
It'll be familiar.
We'll be all right. We'll be.
In
all
my
right,
opinion,
man.
it will be familiar.
The world's not falling one way or another. We'll be all right either
That's a
way.
good message.
We'll be all right.
Thank you for the sponsors. Cheers, boys.
Cheers, gentlemen.
Everyone,
Thanks for watching, everyone.
cheers.
Cheers.
Is the mouse work you doing?
Nah, it's dead.
God damn it.
I got it.
Hold on, bud.
Do the guitar.
Fun as always.
Always, man.
Guitar.
Do-do-do-do-do-do-do-do.